What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? I'm the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus.
Wardlow here.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to my birthday. And welcome to a brand new episode one, where every show is our first show and every day is my birthday. Here's your host, Marv. Thank you, Marv, for a lovely introduction. Always warming up the crowd every way he knows how, as my boy. Speaking of my boys, boom, we got Terrible Wrestling Takes Bishop over Chomp.
What's up, dude? What's up, Marv?
Yeah, Marv's having a ball.
Dude, happy birthday, Marv. I don't say that enough to him. Happy birthday, Marv.
I don't think you do. It's his birthday. Yeah.
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 I apologize, Marv, but you know what? At least I get to say it on your birthday.
Yeah. Of all days.
Happy birthday. Oh, man. The best part about being a ventriloquist is that if you put the puppet in front of your face,
yeah,
you can be amazing at it.
You're really good at it. That's what I learned from the Muppets. You just got to be off screen and you're perfect. Just nail it every time. You know?
Oh, shit.
Oh, that's interesting.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. At TW Takes Podcast on Twitter, twtakespodcast.com for all platforms.
Yeah. And thanks to Fans for Sports Network, I think.
Yep.
I haven't heard from them in fucking weeks, dude. Last I heard from them, I got a text from like the big dog up there, and he's like, I want to really lean into wrestling stuff. Like, are you available for a call? And I was like, yeah. I also haven't been paid at all since I started in November. And I don't know if like supposed to finish paperwork or something, but like no one's talking to me. I can't get hold of anybody. He goes, I'll look into it. Like, all right, maybe you don't want to lean into wrestling. Oh,
No, maybe it's a lot to look through.
yeah, could be. Could be.
I just started watching Suits, and they look through a lot of paperwork. So there's a chance that there's just a file room that they're going through trying to figure this out.
Dude, so much paperwork and so many things. Everything's got so much paperwork nowadays. Fuck, I can't stand it. Man, how you doing? What's in your glass there? Tell me what's in your glass while I go get mine because I forgot it.
Okay. Well, that kind of messes up some things, but what I have here is one of my favorites. Enough ice, and it's been sitting a while that this Elijah Craig small batch 94 proof is nice and frosty on the outside. It's one of my favorite bourbons. It's something that I believe I mentioned to Marsh he should try, and he goes, it tastes like turpentine. So, now that he's a little bit older, he's got some chest hair, he might be able to enjoy it. So, drink number 1 for the night is my Elijah Craig small batch. It's actually drink number 3. I got 2 in front of it that, I had something surprised for you, but
All right.
there we go.
All right. So what I'm gonna do, I grabbed a soda because I thought about just spiking it with some vodka, but then you got all fancy on me. So I grabbed my my cup with my rock ball.
Nice.
It's a whiskey ball. Just dangles in there. And I'm gonna have my John Bowman Virginia Straight Bourbon Whiskey single barrel.
There we go.
Have a little of that with you. I'm gonna have it with you on the ball.
Nice. Pour whiskey on that ball. Pour whiskey on that ball, just like a good girl. There you go.
Oh, it's the last of it. Oh, the last little dribbles. Shake it. Shake it. Shake it off. Gotta get that last little dribble.
Dude, I was watching someone pour in a TV show, and I saw the juice come out the side. I'm like, I don't care if it's a TV show. You lick that off, man.
Yeah, you get it.
Lick that off. You gotta lick that off.
It.
So, before you get to what's in your glass,
yeah, well, I just told you.
I had a surprise for you.
All right, what do we got? What's going on?
So we're not going to be here next week, right?
We will not be here next week
because you have something going on.
Yeah.
So, with that something, I won't be there. So I wanted to pour a shot for your bachelor party that I'm not going to be able to make. I don't know if you're having one. I don't care if you're having one. So this one right now is a toast to you, my friend. Congratulations. I appreciate you. I respect you, and I love you. Congratulations, sir.
I love you too, brother. I know you'd be there if you could.
As for the bachelor party.
Yeah. The bachelor party thing, it sounds like it's going to be me and like 2 dudes hanging out at the beach. So very Top Gun, I'm thinking. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
It's going to be San Diego. It's where they filmed it. I'm going to probably play volleyball. I'm going to probably flex and check my watch at some point.
Might as well.
So,
And then I poured a glass of champagne because I won't be there to toast you and your lovely bride. So to you and the producer lady, I say congratulations. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I will be here on this side of the screen for whenever you need me. So cheers.
Cheers to you. No, it means a lot. There's a number of people who you can tell are like tearing their hair out trying to figure out how to make it, or tearing their hair out because they realize they can't. And like to see some of the people try as hard as they've tried is already means a lot, because I know a lot of people who you'd think there was just no question about it. They're going to be there. Didn't even remotely even try or show a desire anymore. And you just go, oh, I thought things were way different than apparently they are. So, it's these kinds of events that kind of really drives home and lets you know who's your family, who's your family, and a lot of people have come and gone. And to me, it's not always about blood. It doesn't hurt. You put up with those that you have to because of blood, but the ones that refuse to leave and you're not blood, that's the family. You know what I mean? like the
Hell
ones who
yeah.
hold on any way they can. So it means a lot. That I know that I know you would if everything had aligned, but dude, fucking times are tough for a lot of people. That's why we're like, let's over invite. We invited
Yeah.
like 20 people more than the avenue fit or the venue fit, and we actually hit the exact number that we were hoping we would get, like the minimum
Fuck
number we were
yeah.
looking for. So
Awesome.
it's like they say, was it shoot for the moon and hit the stars of the barn or something? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. And it's shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll land on a star. But there's actually no stars between
Here in the moon, the
you
moon's
and the
close.
moon. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
one of the worst sayings of all time.
that's why I thought you shoot for the moon and you hit the barn.
That makes
'Cause-
sense,
Yeah, it goes up and then right on the barn,
right?
and you go nailed it.
Yep. Well, yes. So I appreciate you let me steal that time from you because I know you don't like to talk about yourself when it comes to you and your personal stuff on the air. But I'm glad I could steal that from you because I won't be able to steal that from you in person. So
Yeah,
much
that
love
was
to
been
you guys. I'm so happy for you.
It's been a point of conversation actually this week is specifically, do we let people talk? Do we give them time limits? Do we find out in advance if someone wants to? We've been kind of playing it by ear to see who's going to say they want to. And right now, only one person. I was like, if we let the one person and tell everyone else, you just didn't ask and we didn't book time,
We didn't book
then it's on
time.
them. Yeah, then it's on you
For
guys. So.
for us, we asked my dad to make a toast, and we were going to ask her brother to say a prayer just to bless the food because,
Mhm.
and we're not religious at all, but just because it's a nice function. Then her
Yeah.
brother like completely like scorched earth in the wrong way, and we were like, nope, he ain't saying shit. He's still allowed to come, and I'll tell you later. It's a longer story,
Yeah,
but he did everything the wrong way leading up to it, and we're like, fuck that. He ain't saying a prayer. We're not even religious anyway, so fuck. So my dad was the only one that talked. He did it. He just toasted everyone, and then we just had a party afterwards, similar to what you guys are gonna end up doing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's dope. I'm glad to hear that
Yeah.
part. Second
yeah.
part. So a few things happened in wrestling this week. As we get into it, talk about it a little bit. Let's just start with the thing that we don't talk about: the elephant in the room, Sting. We don't talk about Sting ever. We don't talk about AEW a lot. We try not to dig in on it because you and I are largely unhappy with the product they put out for a number of reasons. And we ultimately had decided a while back. It's why there's such a divide between our Wednesday and Thursday shows now, is we got our Thursday show being hosted and carried by people who really love the product by and large most of the time, but also seem to find flaws as well and want the best, right? And all this about open conversation, fair conversation, and just having an actual conversation. Like, as much as we talk about being chills and being biased, there's also sometimes just the reality of what I'm watching is not the reality of what they want me to feel, right? And that's when we start criticizing, and I think it's fair to do so. We even talked about when The Rock first showed up. Yes, we wanted Rock and Roman, but no, we don't want it like this. And that's a fair conversation to have, right? And The Rock's done a great job of turning that in. I don't even think it's turning it into. I think it was like, hey, how do you make this? This went smoother than I think planned, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But
one of
Randy,
those. Hey, let's plant some seeds and see how it grows, and then they realize that like we got magic beans here.
yeah. Oh shit, this just went.
Yeah,
Exactly. And so I think that the idea of him, which I think was always the plan, to tie it into the story with you guys had the biggest match in the palm of your hands and you threw it away. That's right. They coerced the fans to boo it away so it could be part of the story. It just happened so fucking fast that they got whiplash being like, shit, we're good at this, I think. So
yeah, because we have a whole month to go and nothing to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're just playing with it. We're just finger painting, dude.
Yep. So anyway,
It's just
yeah,
been
sorry.
fun as hell. But so I was just saying that because I've seen a lot of conversations too where people see a thing, suddenly they flip. Oh my god, this is all perfect. This is all great. This is amazing. And having your biases and being a shill, I think, has its space, and it's just not who we are. We're here for the dive bar. I go to the bar to talk shit with my friends about whatever we want to talk shit about, knowing full well that it's only we wouldn't have shit to talk if we didn't love the thing to begin with, right?
Yeah.
You can't come in over here and talk for 2 hours about wrestling and the minutia of wrestling and shit on it because you don't love it. Like, you have to watch it so passionately that you're able to, right? I think people forget that too. The heart of the matter is, are you coming from a negative place where you're hating on it for sake of hating on it? or are you coming from a positive place where you're hating on something because you love it so much you want it to be better, right? Like it's this weird thing. With that in mind, Sting had his last match in AEW, and no, I did not watch it. But I saw a couple of highlight things, like his son's coming out with him. That was pretty cool. His son's getting a move in real quick. Like they only got like one move in each, right?
They did like a little rumble. I actually did watch the match. I did my little,
Yeah.
I don't pay for this, watch it thing, and I watched the bulk of it. I actually missed when all that started because when they came out on the platform, I was like, wait, Sting fucking went back to Surfer, which would have been so fucking cool if he did it, right?
Yeah.
But then like watching all that, I was like, oh, this is cool. I didn't realize they were his kids because I didn't have the audio on. I don't know if they said it or anything like that. I didn't realize it was his kids. So like this is like a cool homage to start with. And then when I looked back up and they were beaten, so they were like going around like kind of getting stuff in. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's fun, man. It is.
I don't know
cool.
how they got eliminated from that situation though. I don't know how they got backed off of that or what put them out. So because why wouldn't they just do it the whole match?
I did see someone complain about that they were involved in the beginning and then just sat back the rest of the match. And so it's like, okay, well now you're just watching your dad get beat up.
So like again, like one of the faults in what they do, not to shit on Sting's last match, but again, one of the faults they do and why we don't really appreciate what they do, you got to find a way to get them out through wrestling, not just walk away.
Yeah.
If in wrestling terms, someone who backs the Young Bucks came out and just beat them with chairs in the back until they went all the way up the entrance ramp, never to be seen from again, by all means, thank you. Or
just have a ref walk over and say, this match is too important. This is your dad's last match, and I hate to do it, but you guys got to go back.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, okay, well, the ref's got to do something, right? Like you could have done something, right? But that's my understanding is they just didn't. They just sat there, which like you said, is fine. I think overall, the bits I saw, the things I've heard, is it was a fun last match for Sting. Like you said, I think that it was lacking a lot of stuff. The use of Flair was just so bad, man. They just got to stop. I think that's what bothered me. This is what bothered me about his last match. Not the fact that he did it or the fact that it happened the way that it happened. Like, if it was all the same, but their official site didn't post all these blunders as highlights, it made me happier. I saw no highlights of Sting on their socials when I was going through it. I'm sure there's one where he's like, I saw them post his, like him at the end with Darby, but I didn't see like the finish. I didn't see Sting do any splashes. I saw his kids do a splash, which, by the way, a little more work and they could be good. A splash wasn't great, but I was like, but it's because he was too excited. He launched from like the middle of the ring, but he made it. And I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. But yeah, I was like, man, these guys got like something to work from. And they're big boys. Like, that could be cool.
Surfer Sting was yoked. Yeah. Wolfpack Sting was a little short in the singlet, but not on the bottom half. The top half is what I'm talking about. Like, well, it looked a little baggy in the singlet. Yeah.
But they are big boys, and I was like, man, they could be something special if they got some fundamentals down, because they did a good job. But everything I saw that they were posting was like weird botches and weird things, and they posted a lot about that Darby spot, which was just fucking dumb. That had no room in that match, because if nothing else, best case scenario, you took away a ton of shine from Sting on his last match.
Yeah.
The best case that came out of this, Darby, you won. everyone's showing your stupid bump, and they're not showing Sting. This is about Sting. This is celebrate Sting.
Did you see the bump of Sting going through the glass?
Oh yeah, I saw that, because then the glass smashed into some people up front. A lot of glass hit fans, and then they're trying to say it's the fans' fault. So, which I don't know why it needed glass at all. You know what I mean? Like, there's just things like that where I'm all like, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and my biggest problem with Darby's bump is there was no moment in time in his motion that ever signified he was ever going to hit anybody.
That was my biggest problem with it. Yeah, I was watching it live, and I didn't see him like prepare the Jackson to be hit. You know, even when Shane was facing Sammy facing KO at WrestleMania, right? It was against KO, and Sammy pulled him off. Yeah. So when he's facing KO at WrestleMania, and you beat the guy down to put him on the table to do your descent. And there was some contact beforehand, but the camera was so isolated on Darby. I was like, okay, what's happening now? Oh, he went up there? Well, where's the Jackson at? Where did he go? And then the next shot, it's all Darby focused. You have no clue the storytelling of the match. You're just watching Darby. And that was rough. Because then he goes through, and of course, it's so impressive to allow your body to go through that, right? Like, I'm not saying I agree with you, by the way. I'm not sticking up for it. But the idea of putting your body on the line for that, it takes a lot of guts. It's a very impressive thing to take and keep going, because a lot of people would just tap out and call it a day, which he was out of the match for like 10 minutes anyway. But it's got to mean something. You know, our good friends at Chat Grapple Cheap Pops, every time they see an indie show where a guy's going through a table off a ladder and some shit, they just retweet the video with an emoji of a hot dog, because that's all they're doing it for, is this little ass paycheck that means nothing in front of nobody. And to your point, this spot means nothing in front of everybody. Make it mean something.
Yeah, and my problem was also, like you said, that the angle that you saw it live, the angle that I saw 3 different angles, because people were replaying it from the fan cams and everything, and you see the Jackson standing in front of the glass, and you see Darby launch himself over him as he's being pulled away. So, like, even if he stayed there, you would have cleared him. Only thing he ran away from was the shattering glass that was about to happen.
So yeah, let's put it in wrestling logic, right? Which way were the chairs facing? They were facing, perpendicular to the ring. So if a Jackson's going to be laying on it, he's going to be laying perpendicular or parallel with Darby. So their body's going to be facing in the same direction. You don't swanton somebody. You know, you would do maybe a cannonball, which is basically the swanton, right? Maybe you can cannonball into him. But to your point, the Jackson's basically up against the ring.
Yeah.
So you can't get to him. And if he's standing, you're going to cross body. You're not going to do a swanton. And he just decided to somersault into a pane of glass, to your point. Like, again, if the move meant something, the reason why we don't watch AEW, these things don't mean anything. And it's a real bummer. It was, of course, it's impressive to see. It's crazy somebody would do that. Off a ladder to the apron, not in the ring, to the floor. You know, like, that's an extra 6 feet he didn't have to go, but he did for the spot, though, not for the match. It's a bummer.
For the stunt.
It's not.
It wasn't even, I mean, that's what bothers me about it is that as much as I wish I could agree with you that it's impressive, and as much as I could wish I could agree with you that I respect him for putting his body on the line, I flat out don't feel that way about it at all. I've been to carnival shows on Coney Island. I've seen people take nails and knock it into their head. I've seen people swallow swords, and you go, wow, that's something that they learned how to do. And that flame throwing takes time to learn, right? Laying on a bed of nails and have someone walk over you, you have to figure out what's going to minimize the damage here. This guy did none of that. He's done nothing to actually try and make it so he could do something that's a trick, right? Swallowing swords are crazy because sometimes they're actually swallowing the sheath first so they don't cut their throat. You know what I mean? Like, he's did nothing to prepare. He's like, oh, what I'll do is just actually drop my body from a high height into glass and chairs. He's done nothing to toughen himself up. He did nothing to protect himself from potentially breaking his neck. He just figured he probably wouldn't die. And that's it. And that's not, I can't respect that.
And I don't know if you saw it watching live when he first rolls to his front side to see his back. There's like an ice cube sized chunk in one of the pieces of his back. And all I'm thinking myself is, what do they tell you when something like that happens? Don't pull it out.
No,
don't pull it out. If that thing gets pulled out and he starts gushing blood, we have something like when the fucking FTR guy caught his arm on that piece of the ring, the turnbuckle. Yeah. Like, we could have a fucking problem here,
Yeah.
Yeah. It was tough. It was tough. So I mean, I agree with you. I guess I've always said this about wrestlers, period. Like, because again, I agree with you. This really was for nothing, but, and shit, you'll probably disagree with me too. Most wrestlers who do this kind of stuff, they do it for us, right? Because they want us to be entertained. And his fan base,
say that.
I know.
But I don't
His
believe
fan
that.
base is completely entertained. And I as I was formulating this statement in my head, because I've said it about celebrities like Bad Bunny, who doesn't have to do it. Logan Paul doesn't have to fucking be a wrestler, but look how great he is, right?
Yep.
Darby Allin doesn't have to go through the glass for our entertainment, but he does. But even in saying that, I know exactly what you're going to say. Darby does it for Darby because Darby's fucking crazy and Darby does Darby things. It's up to us whether we want to watch it or not. I hear you. I hear you.
It was
You convinced
completely
me.
for himself.
Yeah.
And I think it's the other thing that frustrated me is when I saw it, I was like, well, that's stupid to do first. The first thing I thought is like, oh, how terrible they let him take that bump. And then I started watching it again. I was like, wait, it didn't even make sense. And then I was like, so that was stupid in kayfabe. Like, when people do it for us, everyone who goes in that ring is putting their life on the line in one way or another. Whether it's Daniel Bryanson staying on the mat, his arm got broke from a dude who just jumped off the top and accidentally hit his arm. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, TJ broke his neck in a dark match against Samoa Joe. Like,
yeah, muscle buster.
Yeah.
Fucking D'Lo Brown and Draws was a regular powerbomb. You know what I mean? There was a guy, I saw footage of it. It was fucking crazy. A guy in a Mexican ring died because his head went down for the 619.
Yeah.
And his throat just collapsed when it hit the rope. Like, the little things that you put your body at risk already is a fucking enough, right? So for him to go on a 30-foot ladder in the middle of a ring and jump to the concrete through glass and nick those chairs the way he did, absolutely stupid in story and stupid outside of story and irresponsible for everyone involved. Because again, this isn't a carnival trick where you figure out a way to toughen up your body in some way, where you do the mix so that way your mouth doesn't burn too bad when you blow fire. This isn't, you've done nothing to gimmick this.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
maybe best case scenario, it was a Spanish fly off the ring apron, you know, and the Jackson would take less of it because Darby's landing on his back. You know, that makes a lot more sense than what we're talking about. And you still get a crazy fucking pop because two guys went through it from an apron as opposed to one idiot from the top of a fucking ladder.
Yeah. It just, and again, Darby did it for Darby because why would you do that in Sting's last match?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you wanted to make a spectacle of yourself in Sting's last match. And I went online after the match was over to see some cool Sting moments. And I saw his kids and I saw Darby act like an idiot. And I was like, what the fuck, guys? So for me,
to be fair,
real
quick, to be fair to Darby, I don't think he went in business for himself. I believe Sting was on board for what happened.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
to be on board for everything. Sting said no to anything except for keeping his shoulders down.
Which is hysterical. I saw that. I was like, oh, amazing. Oh, and again, to keep cutting you off and take over your show, one of the biggest reasons me and you connected off of Twitter was what? The WCW is coming back, right?
Oh, yeah, WCW 2000 or 2020.
Yes. And the second Sting signed with AEW, we were like, that's dead. And we've been talking nonstop ever since, man. Like, we were so excited for whatever this Fakakta, WCW 2020 was going to be that, like, it's somebody, again, the AEW fucking dumbness of it all, right? Somebody came up with the idea of WCW 2020, and they were going to do something with something we remember and try to make it to whatever crazy concept it was going to be. And AEW goes, we're going to do wrestling reimagined. So, no, it's just dumb indie shit all the time. They lost it. They botched it. They fucked it up, But that, man, WCW 2020, man, we were this close. And then Sting signs with AEW, and we're like, well, there it goes.
Yep,
he was the only one. He was the only one.
That was all of it. And to be fair, in a lot of ways, we did get to WCW 2020. Like, AEW has been WCW pretty heavy. So, but yeah, I mean, like, as much as like, I respect Sting and I love Sting and I've got the chance to meet him and he was a cool guy. Yeah, I mean, even when I took a picture with him, I walked up and there's one picture where we're kind of like talking because he's like about to like just do the old thing. And I was like, can we do like when you come out and just woo? And he goes, no one's ever asked me for that. And he goes, hold on. He's like, I got gum. And he's like trying to move his gum around so he can like do it. And so then he's all like, woo. So I did it too. And nice. I thought it was so funny because he was like, yeah, no one ever did. And then he like thanked me, because I think those guys appreciate when they hear something just a little bit different. Right.
Yeah.
Because especially you're in the cattle call of it all, next. And then someone's all like, can we do something fun?
Yeah.
break it up a little bit. But yeah, I just wish that with all the bad spots that were clearly going to be in that match, because it's AEW, it's why I didn't watch it, because
Yeah.
I like Sting so much. I don't want to see a really bad match that he's in as his last match. And I've liked 0 Young Buck matches I've ever watched. I've liked half of the Darby matches I've watched. I just didn't want to do that to my memory of him at all. So I was like, well, I'm going to avoid it. And then when I was like, but you know what? I want to see some of the highlights. The fact that all the highlights were really weird botches and shitty spots that were contrived and obvious, that it was like, man, I wish that they need a better social media guy. I think, honestly, they need to fire whoever's doing their social media.
They need a better production crew, because okay, so the Sting video package, did you see that?
No.
Okay, so he had
Bring it to me.
a different entrance thing, right? And it
Yeah.
recapped everything but the WWE stuff, right? So it went from his early days to Surfer, all that stuff, like a bunch of WCW footage, which is weird because they would need that from WWE too. So they should have done WWE footage too. But they did this thing where Sting's sitting in a movie theater and he watches the history of his career. And then it was great. So as much as they do stuff like that, right? And remember the behind the scenes video of the production crew working on CM Punk debuting?
Yeah.
And you can see like the effort and how they got the cameras and so there's something there. And but when you said their social media guy, that move from Deonna Purrazzo onto whoever it was, where she
Moment of the
basically
night.
broke her neck, and they called it Move of the Night.
Yeah.
Like that's the Kevin Dunn spot, not knowing what is good and what isn't good.
Yeah.
You know, like not only do you not make that move of the night, you never show the fucking replay ever.
Yeah.
Ever show the replay of that. But that became move of the night and went fucking viral on Twitter like crazy. I couldn't avoid it because of how many people are like, what the fuck? And there were some people that actually thought it was great. Whoever was taking the move, they did a fucking full dive into a swimming pool on top of their head.
They were
That's
clearly
move of
doing
the
2
night?
different moves.
Yeah.
Someone was
Yeah.
bumping for a move that wasn't happening, and that's how that happened.
Yeah.
And you know who that was? It was Madison Rayne.
Madison Rayne. Okay.
She's supposed to be the one who was signed on to help the women's division backstage. She's supposed to be the new women's producer.
So, wow. So she literally looked like she was taking a standing Spanish fly, which number one, it's not something the women usually do off of a rope, let alone standing still.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like why aren't you taking like what it looked like, a flatliner? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, but my point was production wise, it's not just what you were talking about. It's not just social media team. Like they made that move of the night and then gave that to social media team. Like who's authorizing the ability to put this stuff out? Well, this guy said it's move of the night, so let's put this one on social media. Like that's fucked up.
Well, that's what I mean. They need an entirely different social media guy because they need to be able to mitigate some of that and say no to some of these things. But the other thing is, like, look at WWE's social media stuff. A lot of it is done from a cell phone. They actually have a media dude who walks around with a phone and goes towards the front row on the hard cam side and gets fan cam footage that he's doing. And then when he's backstage, he's doing. I've met the guy. I've talked to him. It's pretty fucking cool. Do it like that because then you don't have to worry about the camera catching the wrong angle. You're the fans that they're working towards. So
right,
your angle might be better than what they're getting on TV because they don't know how to cover it over there anyways.
Yeah.
So I was just bummed. I wanted to see more highlights of Sting, and I saw highlights of his son and Darby make an ass of himself. And again, as much as I want to say I respect what he did, I don't respect that any more than a kid in a backyard jumping off the roof next to the pool. I don't say, well, the kid had guts, you know, like I don't feel that way.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I feel like it was incredibly self-indulgent. And I don't feel for one second he thought this is what the fans have been asking for. No, the fans bought tickets because they want to see Sting in his last match and they want to see Sting shine. And it was your job to make sure that Sting walked out looking like the fucking hero in the epicenter of this match. And you went up there, lights glowing on you, a coat of mirrors, so to speak, saying, everybody look at me, do this crazy fucking thing around nobody by myself. You could jump into a pit of fire if you want. and it doesn't impress me because it's awful, dude. Like that's
Yeah,
not wrestling, that's stunt.
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely, absolutely. And I'll just give the Young Bucks one half bit of credit. The arrogant pricks that they are in their character right now played very well for Sting to win this match.
Yeah.
And the way they wrestled in this match to what they normally do, it was a little bit more subdued. They didn't do as much flippy shit, but it was a lot of, in it for themselves, Young Buck style wrestling.
Yeah.
But when their high spots came and Sting over kicked out of everything, it worked. And I hated the psychology of Sting. I mean, he's fucking damn near 70 years old and he's kicking out on one and then hopping up doing a gorilla shit. Listen, we watched the Boneyard match and we loved it, right? There's zero chance Undertaker wins that in real life, right? So
yeah,
we'll give them both the kind of same thing. So in this context, like, it was great storytelling for the Sting character of what it was. The Young Bucks, they were a really good opponent for what Sting needed for the mystique of what Sting is, the myth of what Sting is. It played very well that way. That's the only credit I'll give them because I still don't like their wrestling. I still don't like the spots they gave. But every time they had 1 inch up, Sting brought it back through character, and that was great. So that's the highlight to me. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see that in the highlights.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I heard it was fun. I know Kevlar was watching it live and he was texting me and I was like, what do you think? And he goes, it's an AEW match, but I like Sting, man. And he's like, so it's fun. He goes, I'm going to be really forgiving on it because it's Sting.
And I don't remember many Ricky Steamboat Sting matches, but Ricky Steamboat got a great pop because nobody was expecting him to come out. And it was cool to see him, but I don't necessarily get what that was about, except for Flair and Steamboat really kicked off WCW, which gave Sting a platform. So I don't know.
Steamboat and Luger and DDP were all there. I think a lot of it just has to do with they were just long-term NWA guys into WCW guys. They were all there in the NWA when it became the WCW, and they stayed there for a long time working together. So it was just like we came in together. You know what I mean? He's one of the last ones to be done wrestling out of that crew of people that were coming in at the time. And they were very close, And I thought that was cool and fun too, because, Sting's been around for a long time. I think it's funny. You tell me if I'm just being petty, but Sting took 0 losses throughout his entire AEW career. It said something like, maybe you could pull it up, but I want to say it was 60 something matches he's had and no losses. And it made me wonder if part of that is just the booking of, we'll bring you in and I'll never make you lose because you're my fave and I'm Tony. I also wonder if part of that is if Sting never asked to put anyone over because he never saw anybody that he felt like would gain anything by going over him, which has a lot to do with booking and character, right? Because of how you book, someone beats me and it won't mean anything. And also, because I've seen this guy wrestle, I'm not letting someone like that beat me. You know what I mean?
I mean, Sting seems like such a nice guy. I don't think he'll ever say that. So I wonder if that is the real truth. That'd be great.
Because he's had losses in his career. You know what I mean? He lost to Seth, and he was supposed to lose to Seth.
Yeah, and big ones too.
Yeah. He lost to Triple H and was supposed to lose to Triple H. I know that whether or not that was the best move all the time.
Well, what do you think of that match?
Which match?
The loss to Triple H.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Matter of fact, it would have been a fun last match for Sting, if I'm honest. There was things that didn't make total sense. The split between NWO and DX was just weird because of who was on both sides and the fact that some of them were in each other's factions at different times. I didn't have a big problem with NWO helping Sting because they were enemies for so long, because Sting did eventually join the NWO. Although he joined Wolfpack. So I think I would have preferred if it was Wolfpack NWO, which would have been the same people, but just in red.
Yeah.
And slightly different music. But then you would have had X-Pac, who would have been split.
Well, he was never in the Wolfpack. So
yes,
he would have been on the DX side.
No, X-Pac was in the Wolfpack. He was the original Wolfpack.
X-Pac was gone before the NWO split happened.
That's not true. 6 WCW Wolfpack.
I'm seeing 28 total matches for Sting.
Yeah. There they all
according
are
to
in red.
Pro Fight DB. Pull it up. Let me see. Share your screen.
Share my screen. All right, well, maybe I should look up Wolfpack because it is a little mixed because he wore red when other people were not. I wonder if it's just because he wore a lot of red. All right, let me see. Maybe he was never in the Wolfpack. Let me see. 6 wiki. Let's see here. Why not? Let's just dig on into it. Let's see.
Yeah, fuck it. We can Wikipedia and podcast at the same time.
Yeah, why not? Corporation, WCW, New World Order. See, in 97, NWO invoked Wolfpack rules, allowing 6 to replace the injured Kevin Nash and defending the WCW World Tag Team titles with Scott Hall. So he would have had to join the Wolfpack if he was in a Wolfpack rules match.
Shortly after Hogan lost the title at Starrcade, the NWO started showing more and more signs of division within the group because of the controversy surrounding Sting's title win. It bums you out. JJ Dillon, the inaugural episode of Thunder, January 8th, 1998.
Yeah. So in October 90, or no, in October 97, that was when the Wolfpack rules happened.
Right, but when did? If there's no sick, you know what? Text him. That's your boy.
Fucking yo, Wolfpack.
Yeah. Were you ever? Did you ever wear NWO red? That's what we need to know.
Let me see. New World Order.
That's what I need to know because I don't think he ever did. I think he left beforehand. When did X-Pac wait? The rift between the different factions of the NWO grew even wider after 6, who had been out since October with a severe neck injury, was released from his contract and sent to rehab for ongoing alcoholism. Sorry for outing you there, Mr. Waltman there. This led to confrontation between Nash, Bischoff, and Hogan on March 6th on an episode of Thunder. So that's what it was, man. The Wolfpack happened right after he left.
And sounds like seemingly also because he left.
Yep.
Yeah. So then it would have made more sense if it was the Wolfpack then.
May 4th of Nitro, Nash, Savage, and Conan appeared wearing black shirts with red NWO logos, called themselves NWO Wolfpack. So May 4th of 98. When did X-Pac re-debut? Which it was the day after WrestleMania 98. So he was in WWE for a month.
So
fuck yeah, I win.
I bet you anything that the reason the Wolfpack did this was because this was Sean's thing.
Absolutely, 1000%. Yep, I agree.
So he did this, so we're going to be the Wolfpack to signify to him that we miss you.
See, he wasn't in it, but he was because of it. And check the background, motherfucker.
Dude, it's also why X-Pac originally wore red and black. That's why he didn't wear green for a long time, because he was trying to wear Wolfpack colors to also kind of shout them out back.
See, we get it. We get it. We did it.
Yeah,
we take what you see on TV and we go from there.
Yeah.
I never saw him in the Wolfpack. You felt like he was there because he was wearing the colors. See, we did it.
No, he's admitted that's why he wore red and black. He's talked about that. So, but it would have made more sense then if the Wolfpack came out and he was on the DX side, right?
Yeah.
So the white and black being him, or being what it was. And then obviously the question being like, should Sting have won? Should he not have won? I think we all would have liked Sting to win for ourselves, and for him to have that moment. And Triple H has even said, hindsight being what it is, he absolutely would have put him over. The only reason he said that he didn't, because he gave a reason why. Because they asked, why wouldn't Sting win this match? And he said because they had already begun the build for him versus The Rock at the next Mania 32. He was supposed to face The Rock, but The Rock's schedule ended up switching up and he couldn't make Mania. So the only reason Triple H was going to win was so he was strong going into his program with The Rock. knowing now that Rock's schedule would have never made it, he said he would have lost. He wishes he had lost. That he feels like he agrees it should have been his win.
I mean, honestly, that's great to hear. I thought the excuse was going to be because we thought we had more than one WrestleMania match with Sting.
That too. They thought they had more, and they were building him towards The Rock. So they thought they had a twofer there, and they didn't have either. So knowing that, Sports Beard shooting through. Cheers to Sports Beard.
Cheers.
I wonder why he's got a wrench next to his name.
Because he's the man. I don't know.
That's
he's
true.
a mechanic.
He wrenches. But yeah, I mean, it's cool that Sting's wrapping up his career. I feel like the fact he got 0 losses at all makes me feel like we all know why he went there. Look, I'm here for the thing. I wish his AEW run, as much as people love it and think that it had so much to do with Darby, I kind of wish he had a little bit of something that didn't have to do with Darby. You know what I mean?
Well,
his
and
entire run
like
being Darby centric is a little weird to me.
And like you said in the beginning, like, would he have put over talent if he saw talent to put over, or would he have taken losses here or there? Like, what's the truth about all that? Like, what's around him? Is Darby any better off for what happened? Do you care any more about Darby by him being with Sting for so long?
See, I don't think so, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I think that Darby had solidified himself as this important without Sting. And I don't know that Sting's presence ever made me think more of Darby at all, ever. I never thought, well, Sting's with him, so he must be good. I never thought that. I always thought it's a little weird that Sting's just always around him.
Well, I think
we made
all
fun of him when it first happened. Called him Papa Sting, little baby Darby. To me, it actually belittled him a little bit.
I really felt like we all kind of like put out there to well, maybe Darby's just the first. And they're going to create like a kind of like a Stinger stable of these, the old guard's going to teach the new wave, and it just never got there.
Nothing and it never looked like he was mentoring Sting at all, or Darby at all.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing changed about Darby's style. Nothing changed about his look. Nothing changed about his way of behaving. Like there was nothing where it's like, oh, this is Sting's influence. You're just like, no, Sting is just following him.
And he's not handing anything off to Darby either. Like he can't have the moniker of icon, like it's just, now Darby's not with Sting anymore.
Yep. That's to me the thing that's a little bit of a bummer is it feels just slightly static. But also it's fun. I mean, and that's to me the whole deal, right? Is AEW just comes around as like, wouldn't it be fun if, and wouldn't it be funny if, and like that seems to be the whole booking thing. It's not about what's important or making moments or making memories for the fans. You know what I mean? It's really about like personal stuff. Hey, let's give this guy a win in his hometown. Let's give this guy a title in his hometown. Hey, let's let Sting do whatever he wants to do. It's so the people who work there are ultimately really happy with what they're doing and have their fond memories of backstage stuff, which is not nothing, but it doesn't translate to me as being all that important. It's like I said about the Elimination Chamber. I wish Rhea was in the main event because the story deserved it. It was a
instead of being there because it's hometown.
Yeah. Like, I just want both things to matter. I think that there's a wrestling world where you can, at the same time, create a compelling, important story I care about, as well as treat your talent so well that they have these phenomenal memories of these big moment things and have full circle careers, No,
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And I think because as soon as you said that, it reminded me of Bianca and Sasha, right? Like, it felt like there was going to be this gratuitous 2 black women main event WrestleMania, right? But then along the way, the story heated up, and they were the only match in night 1 that felt like it would have earned a main event, and there was no match on night 2 that was like, well, couldn't they have, and it worked because this, not just the match, like, because to me, at that time, Bianca was still maybe short-sighted, maybe not as green, right? As the wrestlers would say, green, right?
Yeah.
And I was very worried about how she would perform in a main event. But from Royal Rumble until that main event, like, they built something that was worthy of that spot. And to your point, the Nia Jax of it all just really didn't.
That's my point.
Yeah. But we've gone like 50 minutes without talking about anything we usually talk about. So, as one not so popular wrestler would say, what do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? Dude, this last week too, when he did it, What do you want to talk about? I was like, you fucking killed it, dude. Oh no. Bishop's gonna eat that one. That one's tasty to him because it's so bad. I told you. I just wish he would do it in a way it's just like, what do you want to talk about? This is what I want to talk about. We could talk about this. Like, make it a part of the thing instead of just being like, what do you want to talk about?
This is what I've been saying from the beginning. He is a failure at the gimmick of himself. Like, he has a hard time understanding what he's trying to do while he wants to do it. Like, just be yourself and do it.
He sort of made a catchphrase that's not quite a catchphrase. That's his easy in, but hasn't figured out that that's the finessable line. It's a line you can finesse. You don't have to lean into it.
That's what I was saying the same thing about his entrance. He didn't realize that whoa could be a thing that brought him in for a fucking year. He didn't know for a year that he could come out and every time the music goes, whoa, that he could do it with the crowd and the crowd would be on his side. They would do it and he would go, oh shit, you guys are doing it, huh? That's pretty cool. And he still sometimes misses it. And the fact that he doesn't realize that, it's like, why do you guys love this fucking guy? It's right in front of him.
Because that's endearing. That's endearing. He's like us, where you go, oh man, I've done that too. I totally missed it. You know what I mean? He's one of us. He's not infallible. You know? He wins all the time, but he goofs. You know? He'll step on an egg. That's why he's so good.
Love me. You really love me. Yeah, dude. They've been saying that. You're the only one that doesn't realize it. Like,
yeah. Dude,
this is what's fun. This is what I'll say it is. He comes out and he goes to play the part that he thinks he's supposed to play, but he doesn't realize he already is the part.
Yeah.
So just be the part. Stop playing it. Just do it. But he can't stop. He cannot fucking help himself. He loves to play the part.
Dude, the way he said, what do you want to talk about this time? I was like, fuck, dude, no. The best part is you don't scream it like it's forced. The thing is it's like he thinks his catchphrase is like Rhea's catchphrase, where Rhea's got a catchphrase that doesn't work and has to get forced in ways that always makes her sound kind of dumb to say it. And he's got one that actually works really nice and you can finesse into an easy conversation and make it feel like you're having a conversation with people. And he figured out a way to force it.
You should be able to finesse it.
Yeah, but he's forcing that, like, oh, I'm strapped with this. And you're like, no, you're not straddled with the thing. So, yeah, but we'll talk more about Cody in a minute. Let's talk a little bit Hall of Fame.
Oh, yes.
We got some Hall of Famers just to cheers to. Paul E. Dangerously. My name is Paul Heyman. Dude, he's going in Philly. Yeah. I'm excited. Some people said it was obvious. I heard people say they didn't think this was the year. He's doing the wise man thing. Let him do his thing. I felt like that personally in the past where I might have been a little like, oh, that means they're retired. So that's a bummer. It sounds like he's done. We just did Rey Mysterio. You know, we've had Edge come back. And I think that was, to be honest, I think that's one of the reasons that it was almost like a litmus test. Well, what happens if someone's already in the Hall of Fame and now they're wrestling? Well, you can utilize that a little bit. You can't shove it down people's faces and say, I'm Hall of Famer, I'm a Hall of Famer, I'm a Hall of Famer. But you can from time to time. Paul Heyman can.
Oh, Paul Heyman can.
Yeah.
You shut your mouth. I'm a Hall of Famer. Oh, come on. Oh.
Dude, imagine for 1 second that at some point we're going to have in the ring Roman Reigns, The Rock, the Usos, Paul Heyman, Solo, potentially Cody, and Seth Rollins, and there's gonna be one Hall of Famer standing in there, and it's the little fat penguin guy in the corner. Yeah, that's what's gonna be so fucking cool about it. I'm gonna love every second of that, and I hope that when he's holding the title, that fucking big old ring
shining.
Just every time Paul Heyman's sitting out there to grab the mic, he's always like this first to get the mic out. You know?
Oh, man. That'd be great. No, it's cool to see him go in. I'm glad it's happening in Philly. I am #1 hater of Philly crowds. I stopped going to Raw because they just wanted to chant CM Punk and ECW and all that shit. But we talked a little bit before we went on air. I hope that ECW chant during the Hall of Fame is so fucking loud that they need to restructure the building. I mean, this is the one for them to just get it out and give it back. I want Paul Heyman to get so fucking emotional he can't handle it. And I'm not a guy who got a chance to watch ECW as a kid. I can never find it on TV. And then all the stories I heard about ECW afterwards, Paul Heyman was actually like a really shitty businessman when it came to it, kind of fucked over a lot of the talent. But with all its flaws, they created something iconic. And it's something well deserved that people love today. And they love the stars from there today. You know, when CM Punk said the original Paul Heyman guy, a lot of people are like, what? Yeah, what about RVD? What about Taz? What about,
Dreamer,
Stone Cold Steve Austin, Tommy Dreamer, Mikey Whipwreck, like all those guys he helped create, and no offense to them, but create as far as the platform, the visibility. They are icons. Sabu, like these guys are icons. Guys I never watched wrestle are icons because of what he helped turn Eastern Championship Wrestling into, Extreme Championship Wrestling off the backs, blood, sweat, and tears of all these guys too. But this is some guy who took a camera at 16 and weaseled his way in the MSG into contracts with the NWA and WCW, into taking over a territory around his hometown and being able to build a wrestling scene that has lasted forever, helped launch the careers of Eddie Guerrero and Conan and Dean Malenko and Rey Mysterio and guys who would be in transition phases where they didn't know if they can get their shit together, but they had a name. So what did they do? They get the love from the indie crowd while also help building this brand. Like ECW, for what it is, like this is their Hall of Fame as well. So as much as Paul Heyman has done with the Paulie Dangerously and what he's done with WWE with Brock Lesnar and everyone else, this is ECW's Hall of Fame, and I'm glad it's going in Philadelphia.
So if I didn't listen to all of John's old tapes, I wouldn't know this, but Philadelphia was way hot before ECW got there. And it's actually, I think, why he picked Philadelphia for ECW, because it was a different type of fan base, a rabid fan base. Joel Goodhart used to go and put on big shows over there too. And that's where Cactus Jack and Eddie Gilbert had some of their big barbed wire ring matches, rope matches. And the fans in Philly ate that shit up. They wanted the more extreme style. And it's one of the reasons why Paul was like, this has got to be in Philadelphia. Even though he lived in New York and knew the New York scene and could have worked it just as easily, it's got to be in Philly. And like you said, Philly was so rabid that ECW was around for 3 years, 4? And it's become this iconic thing that no one will ever forget about. It did launch a lot of careers. I think it also created a springboard for others. Eddie and Ray and Conan were well on their way with what they were doing in AAA. The stuff they were doing in AAA was remarkable. Matter of fact, years before Ray even ended up doing anything with ECW or them, and he was just in AAA, on John's old show, they used to talk about him only 1 or 2 years in, saying he was the best wrestler in the world. Like, I pulled clips of that, and it's so fucking cool because he's like 18, awesome. 19, and he's like, this is probably the best wrestler in the world. And then they had an argument once that was really great about how much better Rey Mysterio is than 1-2-3 Kid. And I was like, this is so fucking cool because you're talking about two icons at like early years.
Hell yeah.
You're trying to figure out who's the greatest in the world. Is 1-2-3 Kid or is it Rey Mysterio Jr. over here in AAA? Like, I was like, this is so fucking cool. I love stuff like that. But
hell yeah.
Yeah, Paul Heyman is an icon for so many reasons, and everything he touched was just remarkable. Like, I mean, the fact he started as a child doing the newsletters, doing the photos, the fact that there's a picture of him interviewing Fred Blassie and Andy Kaufman is amazing. And actually, John Arezzi was there that night, and Paul, as a kid, took a picture of John with Andy, and John never got a picture.
Oh, shit.
So there's just a negative that Paul took existing somewhere in the world of John with Andy. But John met Andy like twice, I think. So
no, that's amazing, and Paul's been around for it all. And honestly, off this last run, I don't think he's going away anytime soon. I think he has not that he just has so much more to give back the way he has been. I think he wants to continue giving back.
I think so too. I think that he's going to pick up Braun Breaker.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a while, and I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I do like though that Braun's kind of getting this opportunity to his shit with Zion Quinn on SmackDown was like a perfect display of who he is. But I agree with everything you've been saying. How Braun has that prototype that's perfect for Paul Heyman. But Braun can talk, so we'll see what they really want him to do. So
Sure, but what's the best bet? I can't talk. What's the best thing that Braun's done in NXT? To me, it was him teaming with Baron. Because Corbin got him talking in a way that he's never talked before. We got a little levity. We got some seriousness. Baron took out a lot from Braun and really highlighted, I think, that how ready he was for the main roster.
yeah, and there's definitely a thing there where your personal chemistry, like for instance, I'm not talking about myself. I'm a compliment from Graham from Good Cop Bad Cop Wrestling. He gives me immense credit for doing a podcast by myself where I can just talk for 45 minutes and have a good show. Not everybody can do that by themselves, right? I think you are at your absolute best when you're leading a show. You do phenomenal getting everybody to stay on point and weave through all kinds of things. But I also think you're great as a guest as well. Not everybody can do that. So there's definitely different ways people do perform their best. And it's very possible that Braun Breaker's best is feeding off of someone for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Brock, we found out could talk, But we don't talk about Brock anymore. Sportsbeer did say in the chat that he guesses he's a mod. He goes, settle down, chat, as he's the only one chatting. So
yeah, it's true. That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's fucking cool. Paul Heyman, like you said, Philadelphia. I think it's a slam dunk. It's easy. It makes sense. Do you remember when Paul went to Evolve the one time because it was an ECW arena?
Almost cried.
Yeah, because there's something about Philadelphia that is very, very special to him in a very big way. And yeah, I think that as much as he made mistakes as a businessman, I don't think he ever went into anything thinking, and I'm going to screw this guy over. Except maybe Dennis Corluzzo. I think he wanted to fuck him over pretty good. But that was also because Dennis was an asshole. So more of that on the John Arezzi Pro Wrestling Spotlight if you want to go through some of the archives there.
I just remember Dreamer telling the story that he thought ECW was going to continue and Paul Heyman was supposed to show up at the contract signing and was on WWE television instead.
Yeah, because if he did that... No, Tommy wasn't screwed in that. Tommy was saved in that.
Yeah, okay.
Tommy got saved in that. Yeah. No, Dennis Corluzzo was the one of the big members of the NWA, and ECW actually was founded on the NWA tournament to crown a new champion. And Shane Douglas won it, and then cut a promo in the ring saying this title means nothing. This is a dead championship with dead title holders. He said Ric Flair is a disgrace and an embarrassment to the industry and needs to hang it up. And he threw the title down and then said, this title is the only thing that matters, and held up the ECW championship. And the NWA was furious about this. They didn't know it was going to happen. And Dennis Corluzzo was furious about this. But Dennis had been going to the ECW shows, the Paul and Todd Gordon shows, and letting the air out of tires in the parking lot and trying to scare away fans, trying to offer fans money to go to other shows or, flyer for other things like the NWA stuff. So he had been, he was trying to sabotage ECW. And so they just screwed him. They just double crossed him. And that kind of stuff's always happened with promoters. So I would say outside of that, though, I never heard Paul do anything where he was just like, but also fuck that guy. He kind of said also fuck that guy about Corluzzo.
Gotcha.
Tommy Dreamer, I know, was very hurt by all that, but realistically, or at least story we've been told, Paul did that specifically to keep everyone in the dark because of something about how all the paperwork worked out and about the payment of it all and about his money. Something about it ensured that some of those people were going to get some last checks and not have to that they wouldn't take the brunt of what was going on, that he'd be able to take the brunt of it. It was meant to protect a lot of those guys in some way. And I don't remember the details of it, but it's in the Paul Heyman documentary that they put out that's called My Name is Paul Heyman. It's on the network. So, well, it's Paul and Bull Nakano, which is pretty fucking cool. Bull Nakano, legend, never had a WWE contract. A lot of people don't know that about that era. but Alundra Blaze was the only contracted wrestler they had. They were flying in people from Japan, or women's wrestler, I should say, flying in people Japan, flying in Bull Nakano, and doing like a really small window night by night contract stuff. So even when Bull was champion, she wasn't really contracted. Rockin' Robin worked there for years without a contract as a champion. Heidi Lee Morgan never got a contract and then never got called back when she got pregnant. They just said, well, fuck it. We're never going to hire you again. Alundra Blaze was their only women's wrestler. And then here she was having this iconic, we still talk about it today, rivalry with Bull Nakano that actually transferred over into WCW for a while as well. When Medusa showed back up in WCW, she again was one of the few women's wrestlers, and Sonny Ono and her worked with WCW to fly in all her Japanese opponents. So Alundra was Medusa constantly fighting Japanese wrestlers when she was in Japan, because it was just a style she was just more comfortable with. It was more hard hitting, more believable, and it was what she was good at. So the idea that Bull's going in, I think, is long overdue, and I really hope they get Medusa to put her in. If it's not Medusa, I could see it being Sonny Ono, but I want it to be Medusa, unless Medusa's
Same.
booked up somewhere else.
I agree, and for me as a kid, like again, you know my story. You know, I used to get the WrestleMania videotape VHS at Blockbuster. You know, when I was on the weekends with my dad, and Bull Nakano versus Alundra Blaze. Number one, fantastic names. The Bull Nakano,
Yeah.
amazing name, amazing. Alundra Blaze, fantastic, right? Never forget them though. Like I go back and watch those matches. And to be fair, no offense, they're not that amazing, but
Yeah.
there is a storytelling in there that these two women are really trying to win. And you can still feel that, you know? And Bull Nakano's submission that Paige adopted, like I remember that was another reason why I loved Paige when I saw her. I was like, wait, that looks so fucking familiar. Why do I know this move? And then I went back into my archives and I'm watching this, watching that, and I saw, you know, Bull Nakano versus Alundra Blaze, and I'm like, oh, that's where it's from. Bull Nakano used to do that shit all the time. Like,
Yep.
and the hair, all that stuff. This is long, long overdue. I'm so glad it's happening. And I agree. Medusa / Alundra Blaze, like, I hope she's the one to induct her, because when it comes to WWE, there's no Bull Nakano without Alundra Blaze, and there's no Alundra Blaze without Bull Nakano. Not in WWE.
100%.
And I hope I'm not speaking out of school. Medusa's your friend, so if I'm wrong, you know.
The other thing I would think would be great is that you mentioned earlier that CM Punk was not the first Paul Heyman guy, and I think you're absolutely right. CM Punk's nothing he ever says he is. But you brought up Steve Austin. Because I think arguably you could say that the first real Paul Heyman guy was Steve Austin. Because during the age of the Dangerous Alliance, in the, was it 91, 90, maybe even 89, Paul Heyman was doing interviews on Pro Wrestling Spotlight saying that the future of the industry was Steve Austin. He said, give this guy 6 years and he's going to be the #1 star in all of wrestling. And he fucking nailed it, dude. He said that in like 90, and it was King of the Ring 96. So like,
I forgot.
He said it.
I forgot too. Medusa even said it in her Hall of Fame speech. I was the first Paul Heyman girl.
Yep.
So even her being there for Bull Nakano, she can also be there for Paul Heyman.
Exactly.
Medusa's got to be at Hall of Fame, man.
That's what I'm saying. She's got to be there because, for one, she can put in Bull, and for two, the Dangerous Alliance backstage, her, Steve, and Paul.
Fucking cool, man.
Is anyone else from the Dangerous Alliance? Because I know Rick Rude's not still with us anymore, obviously.
Honestly, I don't remember the members.
Dangerous Alliance. Once I read them off, we're going to be like, fuck, because it was fucking dope, dude.
Oh, yeah.
All Hall of Famers.
Was Terry Taylor in it, too? After the...
what? Hold on.
Taxman gimmick. Is that a movie? Did you get the movie Dangerous Alliance?
Members, here we go. He had one in AWA, which was Adrian Adonis, Dennis Condrey, Paul, and Randy Rose, which was the Midnight Express. Obviously, that was the whole thing with him and Cornette. CWA. So WCW is the one we think about. As in CWA, which was Continental, it was Eddie Gilbert, Paul E., Missy Hyatt, Austin Idol, and Tommy Rich. But WCW, where we think about it, was Paul E., Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton, Larry Zbyszko, Medusa, Michael Hayes, Rick Rude, and Steve Austin.
Larry Legend. That's the one I knew, but forgot.
Larry Legend. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Larry's still around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be nice if Larry was
Yeah,
back
most
there.
of those guys. Yeah.
Arn
Michael
Anderson. Well, Bobby
Hayes.
Eaton passed away this year, last
Uh,
year. But I mean, so you could have Arn, you could have Larry, Medusa. Hayes is going to be there. He still works
Mhm.
backstage. And Steve Austin, to have that little crew there would be fucking sick. But yeah, I think Deuce got to be there. I hope she's not booked doing something stupid. 'Cause she'll do that, dude. She will hold on to bad bookings if she said she's going to be there. She puts her word out there like that. So she's done stuff and been like, I don't want to do this one, but she'll do it and she'll give it her all. So I hope she's not doing something because it's all like, come on, Deuce. Fuck. It's Paul and Bull. You
Right.
kidding me? You could just MC the whole night.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think it's great so far. I'm super excited about this one. You know,
Yeah.
It makes me honestly seeing those two names do that. It makes me want to go to Philly just to go to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I'm getting reservations because I don't want Bray to go in this year. If this is going to be like Paul deserves his Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And Philly's gonna be so special because of Paul that Bray also needs kind of his own thing too.
But Bray can't headline the night.
That's fair.
He just can't.
I know it's fair. It's 1,000% fair. 1,000% fair.
His big return was Philly.
That's true. I was there. It was special.
That's why I think it'd be special to put him to rest there too, in a way, or not even put him to rest, but put him in the opposite to create the immortality of him.
This is what I think would happen. Third, fourth in the Hall of Fame during the night, like right before the humanitarian award. They'll do Bray. And then at WrestleMania, when they introduce, they'll start out, or they'll end Hall of Fame night with Paul. But during WrestleMania, they'll start out with Paul, get the big pop out the way, introduce everyone else, and they'll end the Hall of Fame with Bray. So he would headline the recaps at the stadium on TV, and Paul would headline the night. I think that's the best way to do it if you're going to put Bray in this. And I agree with you. It's unfortunate you can't. I'm even sad just thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a tough thing. Because now that they released the Hall of Fame class, you start the fantasy booking, right?
Yeah.
And Bray was the guy ever since he passed. It's like fuck, man, it's only right, put him in the Hall of Fame. And then every time we see him on screen with the 2K video game and JoJo's clips on fucking Twitter, it's just like, man, if there could be just a one-person class where you don't do an event, just kind of do this, but it's Philly, and they're already rounding out 2 absolute Hall of Famers that should have been years ago. It's not gonna be a bummer, but like that's just where my head goes. It's like, well, this Hall of Fame class is gonna be so cool with Paul Heyman and Philly. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I went with it. But I didn't mean to bring the show down. Sorry.
No, but I think that's realistically why you put someone like Bray in there, because if you just try to do an all Bray thing, it's just going to be a few fucking
a
sad event. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you squeeze him in here, because it's that full red circle. This is where he made his big return as the White Rabbit, and this is where we're gonna birth him into immortality. We're gonna give him that immortal send off. I think it'd be good. I think it'd be dope. And like you said, I think you do the video package and maybe you have JoJo come out and talk for a minute. Maybe not. I don't know. Like
maybe Braun Strowman, Eric Rowan.
Yeah, you could have them. You could have his sister. I think it's Georgianne Rotunda. She's got
his dad
presence online. His dad still around for sure.
Oh.
Like you could have someone come out and say some stuff about who he was. But I agree with you. There's always something that kind of reminds you of Bray in the saddest ways. Like when they did the Netflix deal, they talked about creating new content with WWE IP. You just went, fuck.
Yep.
That would have been Bray's fucking wheelhouse. That'd have been, hey Bray, we just got you an 8-part series and a fucking blank check. Go take the next 9 months off.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like that's it.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
slam dunk.
but yeah, sorry. Let's get back. Let's celebrate Paul. Let's celebrate Bull. Congratulations on your Hall of Fame nods for sure.
Yeah. Cheers to fans first. I want to talk real quick. I don't think we're going to talk about all things. I'll be honest with you.
We already did it, so you tell me.
Well, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? There's really nothing on Raw that I think is worth talking about, if I'm honest. There was fun stuff. There was cool things. Gunther and Domin was as funny as you thought it would be. The only thing I'll note is Gunther ripped Dom's shirt a little bit. And from the angle on the TV, you didn't see it, but there was another social media angle that popped up. And Dom's got a chest coming in. And producer lady's been saying for months, she goes, God, he wears that big suit that makes him look so scrawny. She goes, I hope he's working out like crazy. So the day it comes off, it just makes everyone pissed that he's jacked. And I was like, he's getting there.
I'll tell you this.
Becky Lynch, Nia was just so fucking bad, dude.
Real quick though, back to Dom and Gunther.
Yeah.
We are the Dom Defender show of it all.
Oh yeah, we love Dom.
Go back and watch this match, you Dom haters, and just look at Dom. Don't watch Gunther at all. Every chop, Dom is landing on the top of his shoulders with his feet above his head. He is, as they say, ass over tea kettle. He sold those chops in a way that you wanted to see Dom get beat that bad.
Yeah,
that's what those moves were. Yes, he was fucking incredible in the match. And some asshole thought that Gunther stopped the match because Dom botched the spot. Dude, when he did the fucking hand-in-hand climbing the ropes and then had to jump down because Gunther wasn't complying and Gunther smacked the fuck out of him, I'm like, this is perfect Gunther. I laughed. I laughed at home because Dom thinks he has it. And Gunther goes, no, you fucking don't.
Yeah, exactly. It was so good. It was such a perfectly executed spot that when this dude posted that it was a botch, I had to send it to you because I was like, that dude got worked. How fucking good is this? How good is Dom and Gunther? They worked him.
And again, we talk about this. Gunther hates people. Oh, fuck. Who was the match that he said he has no respect for the person because they don't wrestle the right way? Oh, fuck. Who was it? Yes, The Miz. Yes, it was The Miz. And he's like, I don't really respect him because he doesn't wrestle the right way. Then he put on 3 great matches with him. They were so much fun, so well done. And afterwards, he goes, I respect his wrestling, but I don't respect the man because I beat him 3 times. Like, okay, great.
Yeah.
If you go back, I know you didn't pay attention to those matches. If you do the same thing with those matches, you realize how good these other guys can be, but how fucking great Gunther is. Like, he is great. It's not even a short side. He has bad spots, bad matches with things that don't line up. But when you take these talents that people don't understand fully and don't appreciate fully, and you see the product that you get, what him and Dom had was what you call a fantastic match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that happens with someone who's as great as Gunther.
No one gives Gunther the credit that he's so great that his specialty is clash of styles.
Yes. Yes, and I don't think he gives himself that credit either, to be fair.
No, his absolute specialty is you put him in there with another catch wrestler type guy, just a real map person, and it's a good match. It's solid, and it is exactly what that match is. But you put him in there with the flippy guys, you put him in there with the showboat types, and then he pulls out an incredible match where Gunther is taking the lead away from a showboat in some way, and he makes it make sense. Gunther wouldn't want you to do that. Gunther would look down on you for this, so he might respond this way. Like, his specialty is when you go, this is going to be a clash of styles, it's going to be a fucking shit show. It's not. It's always brilliant.
No, that's such a fantastic point. That is not a terrible wrestling take. TW Takes Podcast on Twitter. It's such a great take because when you look at him and Chad Gable, what do they have to do that these other guys don't? They have to build in the drama. They have to build in the story because they're so proficient at being technicians that in-ring drama doesn't really exist because they're both that good. But when
Yes.
that is such a great take, dude. Like that clash of styles is really, really when Gunther goes on a high. And the only one that can do it without the outrings, him and Ciampa. Him and Ciampa together, they are that proficient type in both, but they build drama inside that fucking ring that is unrivaled to any match as Gunther has. As much as him and Dragunov have great chemistry, him and Ciampa, I think, are just fucking flawless.
The thing that Ciampa did that no one else has done was built the entire match around one chop. Ciampa knew one chop will kill me because I can do a lot of things, but I cannot take that chop. And he let the finish be a chop. And he sold the shit out of it. And he basically in NXT, the chop was built off Ciampa.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because everyone else was like taking him and like, oh, but he did a whole match where he goes, I don't want to take it. I'm not going to be in there taking 3 or 4 where people go, oh, I'm going to avoid it the entire match. And at the very end, you're going to get one good one in, and I am out, dude. I am done.
Yep.
I'm going to sell this. Like we're going to tell the crowd that this chop is enough to finish off a Ciampa, you know?
Yep.
But before we move on to SmackDown, we're really going to have a lot of fun. Gunther's got a gauntlet match coming up to determine his number 1 contendership. I looked at the names of them, and I think it's going to be Chad Gable. Just looking at it.
Yeah, me too. I'm a little bummed out because it's nothing new. We've seen most of these matches before.
Yes,
but,
they're all people he's faced.
Yeah, so if we get an opportunity for someone to take the title off of him because it's a previous opponent, like that's fun for me to be surprised and really enjoy something high drama, especially like you said, you know, with you thinking it's Gable, same thing. They're presenting it that way. Gable is now interjecting the story. I'm going to take the smile off of your face and put it on my daughter. Like that's a perfect line to say. So,
well, I thought months ago when he first had these matches with Gunther that they were building doubt. They were building seeds and cracks that Gable can beat Gunther. He can. Yeah. Like that was all in there in his feud from 6 months ago. So the fact that he's in a gauntlet now, fighting for the right to get back at Gunther, makes me feel like all the drama's there with him and no one else. As much as I want it to be someone else.
Yeah, and in some quick fantasy booking, so what if Gable starts at 1 and perseveres? That's the way you got to do it, right?
1, 2, maybe 3, but you got to put him in early and have him go long.
Yeah.
Because the other thing that happens, they typically will do is a lot of times number 1 will get all the way to the end, but not finish.
Yeah.
And that builds something else. But what are you building for if not for something else? You know what I mean? Like this is you're not building something else.
Yeah. It would be nice to see something new or something old that's new. For instance, Ciampa getting it, or even Dragunov coming up, or Carmelo Hayes, or
they've already announced all the people.
I know, but I'm saying, like, to your point, like because it's been everyone that's there before. That's what I'm saying. It would have been something cool to see someone new. But because it's everyone from before, that's a bit of a letdown. But to your point, we haven't seen him and Gable in a while, and when we did, high drama. Shouts to Bret Hart, excellent execution. Like, if you have that open fucking night 1, good luck. You have that open night 2, good luck. You know, but
exactly. The 2 of them can do it, and the stories there, dramas there, and Gable would actually gain a lot by beating Gunther.
Yeah,
you know. What I mean? Where we've talked about it too. Who could win that really means something? And I always say it's got to be someone who would be special. That'd be big time special for Gable.
Hell yeah,
and the story of Gable, and not just the person Gable that we have to just accept gets good things to him because it's his own fucking town or some shit.
Well, and not just that though. Like, remember when he lost the King of the Ring to Corbin?
Yeah,
that Shorty G character that he was saddled with, but his wrestling acumen and the stories he told building up to it, you felt for it. You absolutely felt for it. I thought he was going to win because it just felt right. That's what we need to see in the gauntlet match, though. We need a month of storytelling in one match where we feel it and then go, fuck, man, this is about to happen.
He's got to fight like Kofi. He's got to have those moments. I wouldn't even be upset if they did a Kofi or even just New Day in general kind of rehashing of those gauntlet matches where I've got to fight for this. You know what I mean? Like that moment that Kofi had with AJ. I've been here 11 years. You don't tell me to go home. Like that moment that the Usos had with New Day. Good luck to you. We're out.
Yeah. You have Kofi go up to Gable and be like, hey, man, I seized my opportunity. Now it's your turn.
Yeah.
That would be chills on Raw for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
want something like that for Gable, and I want Gable to go the whole way. But talk SmackDown, dude. Let's talk SmackDown. It happened in Glendale, Arizona. I've heard of it.
Were you there?
Was I there? Yeah. Yeah. I was there.
When you left, did you go home and smoke some more crack?
Dude, we stayed up late because we have great crack in Arizona. You know what I mean? The thing that The Rock didn't do was put over how pure our cocaine is. And I was like, come on, man. It's the number one because we're good at it. Like, it's not tainted. It's not all fucked up. It's just good, clean fun. You know?
Oh, I don't know because I haven't been to Arizona yet.
So, a couple things, and
So you were there?
I was there. I wish I could post some of this stuff, or maybe I should just airdrop this one. Actually, let me do this. Let me pull this one up for you because during the dark match, I don't know if did I send it to you? Did I send you anything during that time?
No, I didn't even know you went. That's why I asked.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna pull this up right now. Go ahead, ask me the question you're gonna ask.
As someone who's not a Rock fan but understands who the Rock is, how did it feel to hear his music live?
It was fucking sick, dude. And I was thinking about it. I've never seen him live before.
Yes, I know. That's why I said like that's something. Like I have a buddy of mine who's a lapsed fan, and he took his son to Smackdown in Baltimore. So he's like, all right, whatever. It was when Brock Lesnar showed up unannounced. He's like, he texted me right away. Oh my fucking God, Brock Lesnar's here. His music just hit. I'm going fucking bananas. And he wasn't even a fan watching when Brock Lesnar debuted. So like, I could only imagine. And honestly, he's like, hey man, you going to WrestleMania? I'm like, dude, money's tight. It's really bad right now. I wish I could. He goes, I gotta go. I said, why? He goes, because my 11-year-old self would kick the shit out of myself right now for not going. The Rock is literally going to be there. I guarantee to hear his music. I have to go. Like that's yeah. So I'm glad. Dude, I'm glad you felt that way.
Dude, I got some pictures that were so sick. I think I posted a couple of them. There's one where he's just looking right over. Looks like he's looking right at me, smiling, and you can just see the rim of someone's beer cup right there. And I was like, "Fucking cheers, Rock!" Like this is sick. I got a couple pictures that were so great that I posted them. I played D&D on Tuesday, so last night we were talking about stuff, and we kept talking about a Rock. Like that was part of the story we were talking about was this Rock. And so I started posting those pictures in the chat while we were playing because it's on Discord. And the guys are like, stop it. And I was like, look, I just took these pictures this week and this is not going to come up again. And they all went, wait, really? You took those? And I was like, yeah. I was like, those are really good. And I was like, I know, dude, it was crazy. They announced early on that we were going to have a double main event. This is the funny bit to me. They said, you guys are getting 2 main events after the show, 2 matches exclusively for you, both main event caliber. The first one, Damian Priest versus The Miz. And I was all like, what? And they said the second one, Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. And I was like, you can't in your heart of hearts honestly believe that anybody in this building feels like Drew and Cody is the same as Priest and Miz? Like, fuck off. Like, who? You're goofing, dude.
Listen, The Miz is the 2-time Grand Slam champion. Damian Priest has the briefcase. He can be champion anytime he wants. Drew McIntyre has been champion. The only one who doesn't deserve to be in that conversation is Cody because he's never sniffed the fucking title. Okay?
Dude, he sniffs a lot. And I'll tell you this much. I was doing seat filling for the show, right? The place was so fucking packed. They didn't use me. They had like 30 of us. And I saw one time where they asked 4 people to sit in one section and they were all back 10 minutes later. And that was it, dude. The place was packed. The other thing is you've been to live events, right?
Yep.
For the dark matches, how you just move forward, sit closer. Couldn't do it. This footage right here is 2 minutes into the Cody Rhodes Drew McIntyre match.
What are you doing? Put him to the table!
This is the crowd, dude.
The second dark match.
This is the second dark match. This is 45 minutes after the show has ended. Do you hear that Cody chant? They're fucking going ballistic and the place was packed. I've never seen nobody leave after the show. That was the drawing power of Cody, dude. They kept saying, we promise you're going to see Cody tonight. And they stayed for Cody. Because realistically,
that's fair.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the show, everyone who was on the bull we all came forward to try and catch him because Cody's like, I'm gonna do a circle and say hi to everybody and stuff. And we didn't get our we got close, but just on the other side of a thing where he's just kind of like had to go around. I was like, fuck, oh well. But it was insane. I've never seen it so packed for so long.
Yeah.
So it was just cool, dude. Like that is people would have left if it was just Drew or if it was just Priest and Miz. They would have
For sure.
But it was a good fucking time, dude. And like I said, I've not been a huge Rock fan most of my fandom. I do think this run he is clocking in a few things. I do think that he's been a little unsteady on the mic for someone who's known as a good talker. I think he's a bit stumbly. I think some of the stuff he says is cookie cutter, but I also think it's his nature to be cookie cutter. It's why I did not like him growing up, because all of his promos were the same, identical, but with one insult changed. And a lot of times he reused insults. So I thought super unimpressive as a kid. I do think he's getting more clever as he goes with this. He's getting more comfortable. He's like embracing it in a way. But there was something cool about just like, that's the fucking Rock right there, dude. Like, that's just it. That's just the fucking Rock. And he's one of ours. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm jealous. I want to be a part of it. You know, I want to be a part of what The Rock is cooking at this moment. I want to be there when his music hits. My son even is he keeps fucking it up, right? It's like, if you smell, it's like, do you smell? And all that, you know, if you're gonna smell, like he doesn't remember what it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, honestly, dude, there's a great video packet or a great entrance song for The Rock that is, do you smell what The Rock is cooking? Hollywood Rock, right? Like that that entrance is fucking amazing too, right? But when when that video comes up on the board and it's got the letters and the Brahma bull and you hear the fucking all the sounds it makes, it's like, fuck, man. Like in Colorado specifically, when he came out on a surprise, you know, like in Brooklyn when they opened up SmackDown and Rusev was in the ring, like, could you imagine not knowing he's coming? You know, but you were there and you knew he was going to be there, and still, you know, like when I was there for the Undertaker the very first time, I drove an hour and a half away because I knew the Undertaker was going to be there, and when that gong hit, I lost my fucking mind. But I was also at a Raw, and I didn't know he was going to be there, and when the lights went off and he showed up in the ring, I lost my fucking mind. Like, it's all the same, like that, and that's why
was that
we
in
do
New York?
this. That was in Philly. It was a Raw in Philly leading up to WrestleMania, him versus Roman.
Dude,
Roman
that's
was
when I saw him too.
yeah.
He was when he went to Brooklyn. That one, I did the same thing. I went there, didn't know he was going to be there, and the gong hit, and I went, "Holy shit!" And then he just stood there, and then like left. And that was it. And I was like, "Oh, it was amazing." Yeah.
But like these moments that bring us back to our childhood, like that's why we talked about AEW for 45 minutes and didn't like it. That's why we do this as often as we can. It's because we have such a piece of us from when we were so young to just really love this thing that we want to feel that way. So like, I'm so glad that as someone who didn't appreciate the Rock for being just one of us, because you can't as a kid. You have to have your favorites. You have to have your villains, right? Like you have the guys you don't like, the guys you do root for. But now knowing like he's one of ours, and fuck yeah, that music, that's our music. That The Rock is our guy. Dwayne, you guys can have Dwayne. The Rock is ours.
Yeah, we get The Rock. I just sent you 2 pictures I took while I was down there, so you can see my 2 favorites that came out of it.
Jesus Christmas. He's right there.
He's like right there.
Fuck yeah, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was so
cool.
fucking cool. And it was great, dude. I mean, it was a 31-minute segment and you couldn't tell, dude. This was a show too that all of a sudden I looked over because we could see the clock underneath the hard cam so they know, when to go off the air. And it was like 7:15 and the show goes off at 8. And I went, oh shit. I got to go try and get the merch stands before they close. And so we ran to do that, and I ended up getting oh, you know what, let me grab it real quick.
That's cool. I was gonna hit you up beforehand and see if you were gonna end up going, but I don't know where Tucson to Glendale is, if that is a feasibility thing, but to be able to do it and experience this particular run, especially like at this funky spot in the story. Like, do we know what he's going to say next? How is this really going to come out? But just to go there to be a part of the journey, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude, it was great, and a big shout out to Stephanie Hypes. She's on Twitter, she's on X or whatever. Dude, I picked up these. My LA Knight
Yeah.
fucking yeah. Got my this was all the merch I got, by the way, and I got the LA Knight 11x14. And the only reason I got it, honestly, because it's got a smeared autograph on it, but they all were pretty smeared, little blotches. And if you look on the back of it, you can see the one beneath.
They didn't
it
dry before
splotched
they
up.
snacked them. Nice.
Yep. They just smashed them on top of each other. And part of me was kind of like, nah, I don't know. I like my stuff to look pretty pristine. But at the end of the day, when we went up there to get it, 100% of the Cody autographs were gone. And all of the LA Knight autographs were gone from the merch stand we went to. So like, let's walk down. Sometimes there's a second one. Sometimes there's not. Found a second one. They had 5 LA Knight signatures left, and that was it. No Cody, almost no LA Knight. And I was so fucking excited for him. He's selling as much as Cody, you know? And the thing that sucked about it is this is the second time they've come through Glendale and he wasn't in the ring. You know what I mean? He wasn't on the show at all the last time because apparently he gotten sick. And this time he had a bunch of stuff backstage. So every time he came on the screen, we all went nuts. The crowd was fucking, yeah. And he never came out. And that bothered me a little bit because it's all like, dude, crowds are on fire for LA Knight and you're not letting us have them at all. Even in a dark match scenario. Like, why couldn't it have been LA Knight versus Miz or something? Could have been LA Knight versus a Ciampa. I mean, put him in some shitty match at the end of the night, you know?
No, that's fair. That's fair. And I was going to say, like, why overexpose him to keep him hot? You know, we've been talking about that since before Survivor Series, right? Like, he won the Slim Jim Battle Royal, and it really hasn't meant anything except he gets to stay hot. And they haven't put him out there to give him the option of being cooled off, but they're also not strictly capitalizing.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked Royal Rumble, right? He wasn't in the Royal Rumble. Why? Because everybody would want him to win, and Cody's spotlight would suffer. You know, like, and you can't have that. And I'm okay with that, you know, but that's part of me saying that, like, as much as you guys love this Cody story, guess what? Like, here we are. You put Cody and LA Knight in the very last 2 in the Royal Rumble. What's the crowd going to do?
Yeah. What are they
And
going
that's
to
okay.
do?
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay to have that, but they're choosing not to do that because they have other stories they want to tell. And it's kind of LA Knight's fault that he's this hot this quick. But to WWE's credit, they're not doing the overexposure to cool him down.
No, but at the same time, you can give the fans in attendance something.
Give me what I want.
Yeah, give me what I want. That Raw I was just mentioning at Barclays, the surprise dark match that we didn't know, it was an open challenge with Big Show. Brock Lesnar answered it. That was during Brock Lesnar's never on TV run. That was during the run where people go, oh, he only shows up for the 4 main pay-per-views and that is it. Brock was making the towns actually, and he was doing the dark matches. I found out after the fact that wasn't exclusive to New York. He was doing that on most of the run. He was appearing at all these cities. That's why they kept having the fucking Suplex City shirts there. You know, The Rock has come back to Glendale shirts, sold out immediately. They had 2 different People's Rock Championship belts. The one that was just like the replica of the one they never used, and the one that actually says the People's Champ on it. Both of them like $500, $600. All of those sold out.
No shit.
It was insane, dude. But people in Glendale got money to lose. I did not. I bought LA Knight wristbands and a signature. We thought about she was going to get me the LA Knight necklace that says "yeah" on it, and I was like, I just don't see myself. It sounds weird. I see myself wearing wristbands more than a necklace. Because I'll wear this on podcasts and I'll put this on when I watch wrestling shows, but the necklace it just says "yeah." It's kind of big, and I was like,
it's so gaudy, man. I got my kid the Money in the Bank one and the Cody one, and it's just they're so big. Like, it's cool for kids in costume and playing around, but like as an adult, like, what are you gonna do with it?
I mean, I even thought I could hang it on a wall thing. I was like, but I don't really have like an LA Knight area at this point, right? Like, I mean, obviously I got this 11x14 that can go up now, and I can do some stuff around it. But I was like, I don't know about this necklace, and I was like, but I'll wear these on the show, and I'll wear them whenever I'm watching wrestling. And fuck, if I start working out hard enough and I start feeling like my wrists are getting sweaty, Better believe it. What's going on? You know?
Oh man. Well, you're about to be married, so your wrist is gonna get real sweaty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, trying not to strain that son of a bitch. But I thought The Rock did awesome here, dude. And then here's the other deal: is the camera I felt like was showing us a little bit more than everyone's getting live. Like when he said that Solo could sing, the crowd reacted big to that because we immediately got a shot of Solo. And I watched it back. It looked like that they took a pause before showing Solo, but we immediately saw Solo on the big screen. Just all like, it's so fucking funny. Broadcast
And we
coming
want
through. Cheers.
Hey, shouts to the broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the "We Want Solo" chants.
Yeah.
Rock's like, yeah. He's got a beautiful voice. Like,
Yeah.
I love it too, and I appreciate what you're saying, and I hope a lot of fans, because I know it's not the case, right? Cody crybabies are really fucking strong, and I'm just saying that because that's the context of what these conversations are about. You know, the fans who really, really want Cody, and the fans that like want to go along for the ride. I'm so glad you're going along for the ride because The Rock is fumbling a lot, but he hasn't done this in a while. So allowing him to get his footing, what do we know about what The Rock is doing, right? He is being an asshole. He's trying to relearn to be an asshole because everything he does outside of this is so sweet. What feels genuine, because I've never met him, but like it's sweet, it's genuine. He's trying to be productive. Even with Zoa and Zoas and Terramana and his movies, it always feels like he's trying to give back to us, right? Like
Project Rock is the most comfortable clothes I own.
Yeah, we
Every
talked
time
about
I
it
buy
last
some,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's fantastic. And it always feels like he is looking out for us. And Project Rock stuff might be a little bit expensive, a little bit, but I got an Under Armour outlet an hour away from me. That's where I get all my Project Rock stuff. Okay.
Me too. And little pro tip for everybody who's listening, this is all 12 of you. The day that they release a new line of anything at Under Armour on their website, the outlet gets some of it. Ross Dress for Less gets a lot of it, and they don't mark anything up above $15. So I've gotten 5 or 6 shirts for $10.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I have a Ross by me too. I will be doing that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like what Rock is trying to do is find the best way he can give back to us. And he said it on the McAfee show. Sit back and listen to the story that The Rock is trying to tell you. And that's what the fans didn't get a chance to do. They booed him from the beginning before he even put a microphone in his hand. The first time he spoke after coming back when Cody asked him was on the McAfee show.
Mm-hmm.
So to give the opportunity to tell the story would be great.
Yeah.
But
it was awesome.
And then Cody, and to my point that I've been asking for real quick, Cody on Raw finally said it. What we talked about, what Rock whispered to me. They want it, but they don't want it right now. He put the honey in my ear. He led me to believe. Fantastic. They figured out what Cody needs to say in this moment. But what The Rock is doing, he's figuring out his character and where his lane needs to be. He's going to stop repeating himself. He's not going to keep calling the fans crackheads. He's not going to go into Arizona and go crackhead, 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 crackhead. He's not going to do that. It's not going to be 31 minutes every time. It's going to be shorter. It's going to be more concise. But they're giving him the latitude to figure it out, and that's great because they're allowing him to put the work in. And then once it's concise, it's going to feel so much better, so much impactful. I cannot wait for Friday. They're going to make magic on TV.
Dude, Solo almost cracked twice, and you could see it. And he even looked towards Jimmy, who was visibly laughing because it's Jimmy. He could do what the fuck he wants. And Solo fucking kept it tight, and it was so fucking impressive, dude. So impressive. Because you can tell, too, sometimes he's like about to, and he starts... Like it's making him mad, but what he's doing is like fucking get out of it,
relaxing his face muscles.
Yeah, exactly. And so he starts doing this, but it's so fucking funny. It was so great. He acknowledged Roman Reigns as his tribal chief.
How'd you feel about that live? How was that moment?
It was big. It was a holy shit moment. And like almost as soon as Roman asked that, the whole crowd was like, oh, like we all at the same time. It wasn't like someone started a chant. We just all at the same time went, whoa. And it was loud enough to where it like came across. Like we couldn't believe it was happening. And then he did it. And it was all like, what the fuck did we just see? Because it was like, is he genuine? Is he saying you're my tribal chief? But I'm high chief. Like, I don't know. Right. And we don't know. And then the whole idea, the crowd started chanting, you sold out. He just looks into
And
the
again,
audience.
go ahead.
I love the way he looked into the audience and said, "This is family. Like, you don't understand." Like, I was like, that's the right response. I think that part of the reason he's taking a long time is because The Rock specifically plays with the crowd. And Roman started doing that this past couple years too, where he listens to what they're saying and responds to what they're saying to them. You're now engaging with the crowd.
Yes.
And that's what
Yes.
The Rock does. If they didn't chant "You sold out," I don't think he would have said any of that stuff. This is family. You know what I mean?
Correct. And this is what I'm saying. Like, let's take the whole story now, right? What they have been able to tell us, right? It took The Rock saying, "You're my tribal chief," for the crowd to say, "You sold out." What
Yeah.
has The Rock done from the very beginning of this? He's been a part of Roman's thing.
Yeah.
He sold out from the beginning, not at that moment. So was the crowd on the hook for something was gonna change, and now they think it's solidified? These are the kind of things when people say that they hate what Roman is doing, do not understand what exists in the air, the ethos of anything that can happen at any time. He just got The Rock, a guy worth billions of dollars through Terramana, Zoa, Project Rock, movies, other entities we don't even fucking know about, right? This guy's worth billions of dollars. Kayfabe, that's part of this too, right? To say, "You're my tribal chief." To your point, we know this. Other people know this, especially Polynesian cultures. Rock's tribal chief or high chief, right? There's a status difference. Also, Rock said it at the press conference. We're separate families come together. We are family, but we made an agreement bound by blood. And in this whole thing that they're trying to tell us, if you sit back and listen, The Rock sold out from day one.
Well,
But
here's the crazier part. He can't sell out. You can't buy him. Right?
right.
So he took the knee at best. But secondly, it's so nuanced, the
Yes.
bloodline, that by saying until he acknowledges Roman as a tribal chief, then Rock is strictly overshadowing Roman, right? And every time they were talking about Rock, Roman had this look on him. And I tried to get a picture of it because right when they went to commercial saying he's coming up next, he went over to the ropes and he was just like, like he was annoyed.
Here we
he's
go
gotta
with this
wait
shit
for
again.
Yep.
Yes.
Here we go with this shit. Now I got to wait on the fucking Rock again. Why couldn't he just come out here earlier?
That's,
You know what I mean?
what? Again, nuance. Something that I picked up on that as well. But what I didn't do the math on, you know what this should do is that when Roman's tribal music hits, they all come out together now.
Yeah.
There is no Rock music drop. And if that happens, that's the "You sold out" chant.
Yeah.
That's the Rock's music is now no longer valued because this is bloodline. This is Roman's thing.
Yeah.
And I just love the story they're telling. I think they're doing a really, really good job if you just sit down and watch and don't cheer for what you want and you let it happen to you. Because, I mean, look, The Rock is rusty as fuck, and he's telling you everything that's going to happen. You beat us, no interference. Okay, guess what? He didn't hide that at all. It's going to happen. And when they lose, there's going to be a tiny bit of dissension. But then also, even if they win, it would be in some type of fugazi way that would lead you to believe that The Rock's going to be on Cody's side anyway. Like, they're really setting it up in full transparency. But to have, again, what I was saying before, Roman's character be so strong that The Rock doing the acknowledgement, we forget what's actually being set up.
Yeah.
We buy in that The Rock really is on Roman's side.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Dude, and the fact he's wearing those fucking gaudy, tacky,
Ugh,
I think they're fake Versace shirts. I don't even think they're real, if I'm honest.
fuck no. They're props, man.
Dude, exactly. I think they look so fucking phony and shitty, and it's so funny to me because because The Rock wears $500 shirts, and you're like, the custom tank tops you wear all the time are probably worth more than that shirt you're wearing right now. You know what I mean? Some of these suits you wear because you're so fucking big are fucking tens of thousands of dollars,
Right.
and you're coming out in probably a $40
Right.
Men's Warehouse fucking.
It's rayon, not silk,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
acrylic, polyester. Yeah, it ain't shit.
Something about it looks like it's a shitty shirt, and I was like, so fucking funny. But the
It's
other
the
thing that's
best,
funny is you go to fucking like Burlington and you see shirts exactly like his shirts.
Yeah.
Now, I took a picture of a couple of them and sent them to Kev, and I was like, should I be The Rock for Halloween? These are on sale.
That'd be a lot of shaving, though.
Yeah, that's true. I'm hairy.
You're
The
actually
only difference
March.
between me. Yeah.
Harry might be a brother. He was also in the Hendersons.
No, that's the biggest difference between me and The Rock is the hair.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
But it was fucking sick, dude. It was sick. It was a really good time. Big shouts and thanks to Stephanie for hooking us up, letting us be some seat fillers for the evening, and she went above and beyond. And I just want to shout that out that we didn't have to make it, right? We were running a little bit late because I left my wallet. I couldn't find it. Turns out I had left it in the back of the car because it had fallen out of my bag the night before and I didn't realize it. So we were already running a little late. We woke up a little late on top of that. And I was like, well, luckily we're going out there and it's a 2-hour drive. As soon as we get going, it says 3.5 hours on my thing. And I said, what the fuck? Why is it traffic that bad? Well, there's a massive accident on the highway that connects Tucson to Phoenix. So we took a roundabout that was supposed to shave off a half an hour, and it did not. We were supposed to be there by 4:15. We did not arrive till 4:20, and we had to park 5 minutes away, and we ran as fast as we could possibly run to the gate, and there was someone waiting for us, and we were told we had from between 4 and 4:15 to even check in.
Oh,
And I sent her a message, and I was like, dude, just let me know if there's just no chance, and I just got to just accept it. That's not what we're doing tonight. And she's like, let me see what I can do. And she talked to people. She did some things. She never said, don't show up. She just said, hurry. And I ran. Producer lady ran. We got there. There was this sweet girl there with some clipboard. And we're like, Steve Fillers. And they're like, oh, are you Stephanie's friends? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, I was waiting for you. And they fucking put the bracelets on us. They were like, and they're like, all right, cool. She's like, all right, good. I'm done then. And she went back inside. She was just sitting out there specifically waiting for us because of Stephanie asking her to do so. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it didn't have to be that way. And then we get to the gate there, and they said, hey, your clear bags are an inch too big. So they got to go back to the car. And I was like, but clear is see-through. So what are you protecting with less plastic that you can still see through? Because these items would fit in a bag that's an inch smaller that I'm bringing in now. What's the secure thing here? What's your security answer to why an inch of plastic that's see-through is somehow unsafe? And they just went, it's gotta go back. And I was like, yeah, but you got to make up something, right? Like, there's no reason why you couldn't make up something. You've been doing this for 20 years, I bet. There's got to be a security reason. And they're like, damn, just gotta go back. So I was like, cool. So I run back to the car with these bags.
Fuck.
As I'm finally slowing down and taking a few steps towards the car because I can see it, my phone rings. It's producer lady. She goes, I have your keys.
You fucking kidding me?
And what makes it worse, when we were getting our stuff, she goes, don't forget I have your keys. I was like, I know you got my keys. We're good. I'm gonna get my stuff. I was like, all right, I gotta go back to the car. She goes, all right, cool. Just don't forget I got your keys. I was like, not a problem. We both didn't think that I needed them. She just didn't want me to think that I forgot them.
So did you just put the bags under the car and not go back for the keys?
Nope. I went back.
Jesus Christ.
On my way back, there was the little locker system that I don't like. But this one was put on by Blue Vet. So it was veteran owned and operated.
There you go.
And I went, you know what? I'm okay with that. $10, put it in there. It was fine. And then I met them over there. Then when I get over there, they're like, there was Stephanie again. She goes, oh, I was going to have them lock it in an office somewhere. And I was like, well, you could have sent that in the text when you said come back.
Hey, but, $10 to the vets. Shouts.
Yeah, $10 to the vets. Not a big deal. But yeah, so just big shout out to her for making it happen and making sure that we got to see it and experience it, because although we did inadvertently get separated, me and producer lady, we didn't get to sit next to each other. Just from a random happenstance. They gave you all the seats in order, and I happened to get the ticket of the end of one row, and she got the ticket behind it, the beginning of the next row. And I was like, if one or two more people were in front of us, we would have been right next to each other.
Well, you know what? You kind of take what you can get at that moment. It was hectic enough. You just kind of sit in it.
Yeah, I just said, it's fine. But it was a good time and it was really cool. I only want to hit a couple extra things real quick, unless
Yeah,
there's
go
something
ahead.
else you had. There's
No,
only two
no.
other things I want to talk about. One,
Sure.
Tiffany Stratton is a problem. I
'Cause
talked
she's
about it
so
last week.
fucking amazing.
She's so good. She's so flashy. She's not a heel. She's a total bitch and will never boo. This crowd was hot for Tiffany and not for Naomi. Naomi's on a comeback tour as a big baby face. Tiffany's on the unveiling tour as the monster heel. And people are just so enamored by Tiffany, it's not going to work.
I tell you what, though, that's what I loved about this match is that was the dynamics, and the crowd didn't reject either's attempt. Right when Naomi had her time to go, no, it's glow time. It's glow time. The crowd wasn't like, no, 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 no. They were like, no, you're right. You're right. And then when the match ended Tiffany's way, they were like, yeah, fuck yeah, it is Tiffy time. Like, so I agree with you. Naomi may have been the wrong victim to Tiffany, but she was the right opponent for what happened. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I know that Naomi
Do you think she's going to lose it?
lose what?
The idea of being back, like this cooled her
Yeah.
off?
Oh, for sure. Between the
Okay.
Elimination Chamber and this, she's ice cold.
Okay.
She's starting from square one, and that sucks. Because Elimination Chamber, she comes in and she's fighting against Tiffy, and Naomi has been easily the most athletic woman in the women's division for a long time. She's not anymore. Charlotte's not anymore. Because they always said it was Charlotte, but it wasn't. It was actually Naomi.
Yeah.
We got Tiffany. We got Bianca. You know what I mean? We got Kaden and Casey. We have really athletic women right now.
Yeah.
Naomi is just not on the same athleticism, on the same gymnastic level as Tiffany. They're both highly athletic.
Yeah, but there's also and fuck, man, I really agree with you, and I'm not saying that in a disappointing way. I just didn't look at it this way, like because Tiffany, she has a gymnastics background, right? Like U.S. damn near Olympian. If she wasn't, she was like, and I looked up her history and I looked at her build, and I'm trying to understand who the athlete is. We've never seen. Let me say this the right way. We've never seen Charlotte this thick.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We've never seen Naomi this tall. We've never seen all that this fast.
Yeah.
Like as in actual speed. So like she really is a different athlete, but because her character is such a bitch and it's so centered that way that we're still shocked by the athleticism.
Yeah.
And that is some deep wrestling sports entertainment that you just don't get really from the women's division outside of Becky and Bailey. And maybe Bianca now, because as good as an athlete, as fast, as strong, all that stuff, what's her biggest strength? Her character.
Yeah.
You know, where that's Tiffany too. And the only thing that Bianca has better than Tiffany is strength, because Bianca's strong as fuck. But honestly, like you're talking about, man, and again, not to jump all in front of you, but everything Bianca does that's not strength, Tiffany does better.
Dude, and she does it flashy. And this is one of those things too where they talk about
clean.
Yeah.
Clean. There's a crispness to how she works.
It's clean and makes sense. It's not how Charlotte does a cartwheel and then does a forearm, which doesn't make any sense. You go, why did you cartwheel and then plant your feet and then go forward? She does a front handspring into a splash without losing any momentum, right? Like she does stuff that makes sense and isn't just like, well, wouldn't it be cool if I was able to do this cartwheel that goes into this? It would be cool. You can't do it, but if you figure it out, that'd be great. Tiffany can do it. There's how many times have we seen people who do these big flip things, plant their feet, and then start new momentum? Tiffany doesn't do that. She's figured out a way to continue momentum. And I think that's going to be a problem with her trying to keep her as a heel because she does play a really good bitch. But I also think that she does wrestles too fucking flashy to stay a heel for very long.
I would love to hear her authentic voice. I mean, I came on here and asked you, what happened? What would happen? Because she's from Minnesota, right? Like,
yeah.
Imagine if she was Fallon Henley in real life. Like I could imagine, I can see her growing up feeding cows, like in real life, because of where she's from and, coming from humble beginnings. But she's playing this Barbie doll princess that she came from, rich fairs and all that. Maybe she didn't. And maybe her authenticity lies in her hard fucking work. Being a gymnast on an Olympic level is not fucking easy. Hard work, dedication, all that shit gets you there. It's not just raw ability. You don't get this good at wrestling in 2 years because you're that good at life.
I think it's just way more simple than that. I
Really?
think that that's like overcomplicating the concept of her character versus her moves. I think it's really just boils down to like what we've heard guys like Cornette say. If you're a heel, you have to wrestle like a heel. That means no more flips. Like you cannot do things that fans like to see because they start to cheer it. Once you start looking very impressive that's why Baron Corbin wrestles the way he does, because he's a heel. It's not
No,
because he
I
doesn't know how to do stuff. It's because
Right.
if I do these moves this way, you get more and more frustrated at me. You think I'm not good, but I keep beating your favorites. She is so fucking flashy. Even if they kept a lot of the stuff, the
Okay.
tools, the rich stuff, and her character was largely the same, but she just was on the other side of a bad guy. If she was a bitch to bad guys, it would still work. But don't put her in the ring
Okay.
against Trinity.
Gotcha. I hear you. And you were coming from her performance as a heel, and I was coming from where's her real authenticity lie. So is this her? Okay, so I'll phrase it back to you this way. You said we have a Tiffany problem because of what's happening, but do you think she has the ability to wrestle that way?
Yes. I think that it's what are you saying? Like to tone down her moveset?
Correct.
No, that's why she
Okay.
can't be a heel.
So is that a WWE problem or is that a Tiffany problem? If she can
It's a
tone down
booking
her
problem.
heel, but does she have the ability to be booked that way? She's raw in the business, right? Does she have the ability to be booked as a ground and pound instead of a high flyer, right? Like my problem with Daniel Bryan. You're fucking 5'8", your kicks don't mean shit, right? But if you wrestled in a grappling way the entire time, like he has been with AEW, oh, okay, I get your grappling style. But he's doing too much high flyer shit. So if she toned down her stuff and becomes less flashy, can she feel more healed? Does she have that ability? You know what I mean?
But why would you want that? If you have
I
somebody who's a
don't
natural
disagree.
babyface,
I don't
it's a
disagree.
booking issue of booking people against their strengths.
But you need well-rounded performers. Look at Braun Breaker in NXT. He was the
No,
biggest
you
babyface
don't.
of
Look
all
at The
babyface.
Miz. The Miz is a fucking shit babyface, and he's been there for 25 years, and they keep putting him as babyface, and it's always terrible. You don't have to be well-rounded. You just have to be good at something.
His massive balls gimmick now is over as babyface with R-Truth, as opposed to being the shit heel that he was. What he's doing works. You don't like it, I get that, but it works.
Doesn't work. He's
as
not getting a bunch
babyface.
of big babyface reactions. R-Truth is. They're not working both sides like
So
that.
Tiffany
Look
can
at
never
Charlotte.
be a
She's a
heel ever.
terrible babyface.
Well, she just sucks, period. She's been doing this for 10 years, not 2.
Yeah, and she never figured out how to be how to be relatable in any way.
Okay, so this is what I was getting at. If Tiffany finds her authenticity, then she can venture on both ways, right? Like I have people outside of my family that love me, and I have people inside of my family that hate me. I am a heel and a baby face on both sides by being myself. Can Tiffany find that? Can she find the ability to be both? Becky can do it. She did it. She did it with 26 seconds with Bianca, and at the turn of Damage Control, she went back to the biggest baby face of all time. That's what I'm saying. Like, within her authenticity, can she find both? But what you're telling me is that Tiffany's so good at this one thing, she needs to be a baby face forever. And that's just not the case. Even Cena had to be Thugonomics.
Thugonomics was hardly a heel. He was getting the biggest laughs. He was making balls rhymes. People love balls rhymes.
People do love balls rhymes. People do love balls rhymes. Yeah.
Well,
that's true.
I'm just saying that what the problem isn't even for her. You can keep booking her as a heel, but you're burying your baby faces. Trinity got the shit end of the stick here. It wasn't that Tiffany's just being misbooked, so therefore she's having a tough time. She's getting over no matter what. You guys you're either going to bury her opponent or you're not. And right now, stop putting her in there with fucking baby faces. Start putting in there with heels that she can just out heel.
I definitely found it odd that Naomi was her first opponent. Yeah. I know they had they had good chemistry within the Elimination Chamber, but I agreed with you. You know, like having Naomi be the first opponent outside of Elimination Chamber was a tough task.
It was
It
tough,
should have
and
been
the
someone
thing
else.
is, it actually was a great match
I
because it
loved
was
it.
like it was a dream match for producer lady. The second she saw Tiffany, she goes, "Can you imagine her with Naomi?" She goes, "I just wish Trinity was back already." She's like, "I just think she would do amazing with Tiffany." Yes, because they're both that athletic that they can make it work. And Naomi can carry Tiffany through a match as far as psychology goes. Do this now, do this there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? She can make it happen. Problem is, you have Tiffany Stratton breaking through as a babyface, and you have Naomi on her big return match with 2 cools in a row. It's just not fair to her. This is the dream match we've been wanting, and it just wasn't booked in a way that just gave us what we needed for the crowd. And I just feel bad for Naomi because she doesn't deserve that on her big return tour. You know, and
No,
Tiffany doesn't
yeah,
deserve
that's
that
fair.
because that could give her heat somewhere. Hey, you
Yeah.
fucking cooled me off. Well, if I wasn't trying. And Tiffany was doing as much as she could to get the crowd to boo. She was talking mad shit to the crowd. I don't know how many times we went to commercial, but everything she did to the crowd, like, ooh, boo. And then she was like, look at my abs, you fat fucks. And everyone just went, woo, we love your abs. It was crazy. It was like she could not get the crowd to boo. She's not gonna. If she's gonna wrestle
Yeah,
that way and look that way, she's not gonna get boos. And so
that's fair.
stop burying our other faves to make way. Like, I just think Naomi deserves a nice story that she can sink her teeth into and not get buried in the middle of this. And I know their match was probably a little bit rushed because Rock segment likely went long. There's no way they booked that for a half an hour. But that's just my concern about Tiffy is they got to figure that out. And they got to figure it out fast because you're going to start cooling off your baby faces on the come up. You know what I mean? Like if they had done that to any other baby face, they'd have been fine. Because all their baby faces are pretty established right now, you know? But you have Naomi just coming back, just cracking in, and you have Tiffany coming up.
Yeah, like I said, I found it a bit odd, but I enjoyed the match so much that everything you're mentioning didn't necessarily bother me, but I do agree with you. And I tell you, it doesn't bother me because of what I said before. Like, as much as Tiffany was over with the crowd, Naomi didn't lose anything with the crowd because of it. And that's a good thing. But I do agree with you. If you continue down this path, let's say they put them back out there next week, and then the week after that. By that one, people aren't going to give a fuck about Naomi at all. So that's fair. Yeah.
And they were chanting way more for Tiffany than Naomi. And there was a few sections of the crowd that tried to get Naomi chance to go counter the Tiffany chance, and they were not picking up steam like the Tiffany ones were. They just weren't.
Yeah.
And me and Producer Lady both talked about it on the way home. We both said we felt so bad for Naomi that she should have been on fire here, but the crowd was still cheering for her because they like her, but they just like Tiffany more, and I get it.
No, that's absolutely fair.
Yeah. The only other thing I'm going to bring up, and then we'll wrap this up, have last call, Bailey and Dakota Kai. Short match, but really to the point, just riddled in story. I liked how it went off. And if you play it back, someone pulled the clip of it when Bailey first turned on Sasha. Same move where Sasha's going for it. Bailey just jumps down and just stares at her. And Sasha's like, what? And that was when the you ain't shit moment happened. But yeah, Dakota turning on Bailey was dude, and the crowd was so hot for Bailey. Every time anything came on with her on the screen, the crowd went nuts. They were cheering for her, chanting for her. They were so hot for her. And when Dakota jumped down, the whole crowd was just like, no, bitch.
Did you watch it back at home?
I did.
How easy was it to call?
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've been saying it for a week. For all week that they've been announcing this, I've seen it all over my Twitter feed because the only stuff I'm still on Twitter that I'm still following is all the other Bailey fans. And all of them are like, we're watching you, Dakota. Dakota, we know your history. Dakota, you better fucking not, you know?
Yeah, as they were coming out, I felt good. As soon as they touched the ring, I was like, fuck. Dakota just couldn't hold it back. You could just see it in everything that was happening. I was like, you know what? Dakota's turning. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's turning. I was surprised she got as physical as she did because I don't know her actual clearance level, you know. But when Bailey beat the shit out of her for a little bit, like, okay, like she felt comfortable to take some damage. But yeah, and I love it. And it's so fucking stupid and funny because go back to that promo after Survivor Series, right? Like, what did Bailey say? And Dakota's been the mastermind of this the whole time. Like,
yeah.
What did you think was going to happen, Bailey? You fucking idiot. All love and respect. Like,
right? You big dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy too. And I know we still have a few more weeks to go. And so I'm really hoping, I can't wait. Cause she mentioned it and she toyed with it a little bit with her other promo against EO, was like, I wanted you. I trusted you. Like, I really think they need to drive home that she begged the company to bring them in so she could work with them. And then someone even pulled up old tweets that she had were about how Dakota was so good to her during her recovery and called her all the time. And during when Bailey was injured during that time too. But like the idea that she was coming back, and I mean, even play the interview she did on After the Bell. Right after
Right.
that return, she had a thing in there where she goes, yeah, like they were just at home and I was just calling Triple H over and over again. I was like, come on, Hunter, you gotta let me bring him in. You gotta let me bring him in. Play some of that stuff and bring in a little bit of real life into this of all like, how could you? How dare you? You wouldn't be here without me. Literally. They
Which is
fired you.
funny because they're not even using the on TV stuff. Like they mentioned Bailey knocking out Kyrie once, They didn't really go back to it after that. So
Because she apologized.
well, but my point is, like, even in this moment with them turning completely, it's not like they said, "Do you think we'd ever forgive you for what you did to Kyrie?" That still hasn't been brought up. So, like,
Yeah.
the actual reason is just like, "Oh, Bailey, you wanted to take all the credit." Well, to be fair, she should get all the credit. So their storytelling is a little off, especially now you have Kabuki Warriors, Io, and Dakota against just Bailey. What three are going to stick up for Bailey? They don't exist.
Yeah, they did hint that Jade Cargill was gonna.
I saw that backstage.
That was a hint. And then online a little bit, Jade's been like, yeah, you little brats need some fucking something or other. And you could really play up that Jade's strong enough to take on 3 because they're really trying to push her as a powerhouse. But I agree with you. I'd rather see a little some extra help from someone, maybe even a Tegan. I wouldn't be upset
Right.
if it was Tegan and Natty.
Yeah, yeah, and that got a little funky on Raw too. So the women's tag division is a little more, and we've talked about this before, whether it's a men's, women's, what have you. You never want to see the devaluing of the tag titles, right? Like you don't want the Kabuki Warriors to look like they can't take over Jade,
Yes.
regardless of who Jade is, So like you have to come with more than one if your tag champions are part of this story.
Yeah.
So if you have Jade and whoever be the ones to take out the Kabuki Warriors, you go, oh shit, Jade is that strong. Maybe Jade plus whoever can beat the Kabuki Warriors,
Yep,
but having them devalued. Yeah. It's like when the Usos were coming out and Cody would just one punch one and then one punch the other. And it's like, well, I guess the Usos can't beat Cody. So why would they wrestle anyone else, and you just don't want to see stuff like that. So yeah, if it's Jade and they find 2 others, be it, Kaden and Katana or, not that they would do Alba Fire and Ala Dawn, but like, yeah, something like that where you have another tag team who is legit. Tegan and Natty would be awesome, especially with Tegan and Dakota's history.
Yeah.
Or if you can
Bailey
find
and Natty can have a realistic kayfabe history too. Natty's like, I've been here a long time and I know what it's like to have people turn on you. And Bailey being like, I've never known a WWE without you. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I feel like I can trust you. You taught me so much when I came in. You were my shoulder to cry. You know what I mean? Like, you could really build it. There's backstage story between them without much. But
yeah, I mean, I just wish there was someone else, and not that I would necessarily want it in WWE, which is funky because we talked about it last time about Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, and all that stuff. Like, there's a lot of hinting of her going to AEW, but if she showed up within this feud,
be perfect.
It would be perfect for people like us, but I feel like a lot of the crowd would take that too heavy and would kind of take away from what we're actually trying to watch. We need a team that's legit enough to go against everyone else because we know Bailey is legit enough to go against Io. But if you bring in a Sasha to put with Jade, then you have this star power that's so much bigger than the Kabuki Warriors that you now have 3 people that are above damage control or whatever they're calling themselves now, that like it's now moot, as opposed to really rooting for Bailey, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Could be. And the other thing, I think that as much as it would be fucking perfect timing to bring back Sasha for this,
especially this, that's the only reason I brought up. It's especially this, nothing else.
Just this.
Yeah.
but you have a ton of history of Bailey and Sasha turning on each other. And so it's kind of like it's a little Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn-ish, where it's a little bit like they're together for now, but I just don't know because we've seen you turn on the other one so many times that you could see Sasha coming in. You'd be like, this is great, but is it really the safe bet, right?
You know, and to be fair, Bailey has been such a solo star. She really doesn't have anyone else. Like
Mm,
she was the solo of the Four Horsemen, right? 3
mhm.
go up, she stays back. She comes up. It's about getting to their level. Gets the tag titles with Sasha. I've loved you so much. What are we doing? Like that
Yeah.
whole funky dissension thing. So like I absolutely agree with you. And it really does make things kind of hard to figure out who would be on her side. Kind of like the Seth Rollins of it, right? Like
Yeah.
he had these moments where he had AOP and Austin Theory and all these other things, but who's by his side? Nobody's by his side anymore. He's been such a solo star for so long. He's now attaching himself to Cody because, well, even no one's going to help Cody too. So it'd be nice. Like I said, it'd be nice to see a credible tag team to neutralize the Kabuki Warriors, but we can't have them overshadowed. And I think that's something that Sasha would do.
Yeah. Which is why which also brings me back to Tegan and Natty might be the perfect fit. If you have Tegan, Natty, and Jade going out there with Bailey,
It's a
you know,
perfect mix. Perfect mix.
I think so. Fuck, there was one other thing I was going to throw in there and it's gone now. So whatever.
Well, those are the two things, right? It was the Tiffany Stratton problem and the Bailey problem.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing was because it had to do with the Bailey stuff too. I think that at this point, the Bailey EO story is heated up enough that I do think that it could reasonably and understandably end up main eventing night one. And I think especially with them potentially throwing in Seth and Cody against Rock and Roman, um, that to me, wait, that's going to be night one as well, right?
That's going to be night one, yeah.
Okay,
And
so
Rock
Seth's
even
having
said
two
main
matches.
event.
Yeah, yeah, never mind. Because I was thinking that the second night, then Seth is going to have to wrestle another match. It's going to be the championship match, not main event, which is funny to me. I could see them going on right before the tag, though. Because this one's a pretty hot story there.
Yeah, I think you have Gunther open up night one,
Yeah,
and you have the tag close.
yeah,
And in storytelling, you have Seth and Drew open up night two, and
yeah,
Drew wins. Because that's what they've been telling Drew. Even on Monday, Drew told Seth, like, you're taking your eye off the ball. I'm the prize here, not the Rock stuff. Stay out of the bloodline stuff. Blah blah blah. Seth gets his ass beat night one, has to face Drew night two, and loses. It's perfect storytelling for the
yeah,
Drew side of it.
yeah. And for the we have to protect Seth at all costs for some reason thing that they always do. Um, Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like you said, Seth even helping Cody makes no sense storyline wise either. One thing I want to ask you real quick, we'll wrap it up because this is probably a short-sighted question. I've seen a few people fantasy book that they really think that Seth should turn on Cody and make sure he doesn't win the title, and that the next story we get is Cody and Seth for that title. Uh, to me, in every way I've heard it described, sounds so fucking stupid. Like, the idea of Seth and Cody having another 4-month feud makes no sense. I think Seth has no ground to stand on as he lost to Cody so definitively so many times, no matter how damaged Cody was, that costing him seems dumb. I think it's such a stretch to think that that would even be interesting at this point, especially with that title in balance. Uh, what I thought maybe if you saw it the other way, you might convince me why it might be all right.
Well, I mean, you know me, fantasy booking is pointless because you never get what you want, and if it does happen, you say you called it, or they listened to you and changed it. So,
Mhm.
but when I think about
May
that
influence you.
scenario, yeah, like when you think about that scenario, when does it happen, right? Okay, does he turn on him at the tag match, and yet he still has his solo match to happen? So Cody doesn't come out and ruin that. He turns on him in the tag match, so he's compromised going into the main event match, and nothing happens during that one either. They win the
No,
tag match. They work so hard together to win the tag match, and then he turns on him during the Roman match. Like, you thought I was going to help you. Well, you already did. So,
yeah.
like, it's so convoluted to go that way. The only way, again, and I've been saying this from the beginning, the only way any of that would make sense is because Seth just wants his victory over Cody, and he hasn't gotten it yet. And if that happens, then what we would need to see is a proper way to get there, and then Seth beat Cody.
Yeah.
Because if Seth doesn't do Cody, then all this storytelling just doesn't make sense. So because I agree with you, like the fantasy booking all the way to the outcome, it's really hard to get there. But if you take it at face value from the beginning, Seth wants to get really close to Cody so he can fuck him over. Completely agree. That is viable. That is absolutely viable. You came in, you took my spotlight. I'm the champion. You still have my spotlight. This is bullshit. I'm going to get so close to you, I'm going to kick you in the dick and walk away. I'm cool with that. And then on the back end of that, you have Cody so compromised, he actually can't beat Seth. I'm cool with that. Cody redemption in SummerSlam Survivor Series beats the fuck out of Seth, and we have the big moment for Cody. That is absolutely possible. But because this story is so bloodline centric, you can't get there.
Yeah.
So I just don't see how you get there. I agree on the concept because Seth at his core is the architect, right? At his core, he's J&J security. At his core, he's maniacal. So I can see how you start it. I just don't know how you get there because this story has nothing to do with Seth.
Yeah, and he's shoehorned in a way that makes even less sense.
Yeah.
That you just kind of go like, how could it all be about Seth? And then at the same time, that could be the story about how it's not about him and he thinks it should be. But at the same time, I just also think it's dumb and I've seen it and I don't want it. There's nothing about Seth and Cody that I find interesting at this point. I am so past Seth. There's nothing Seth is doing that I find interesting right now. Until Seth, you complained about Cody not showing vulnerability. I mean, look at Seth.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since he did his losses to Cody, it's been super Seth this whole time. No matter against who, no matter how, same matches over and over again. It is cookie cutter, and it's just boring and uninteresting. And I don't think the answer to that is go back to the other thing.
I don't disagree. I was watching Drew versus Jey Uso on Monday night, and I just go, could you imagine if Jey beat Seth? How cool this would look right now. And it just didn't happen because Jey didn't beat Seth in his one opportunity, he didn't beat Seth. But if he did, how much more awesome would Jey be right now? You know, if Sammy got that opportunity, we're not talking about Sammy floundering into an Intercontinental title gauntlet match. We're talking about Sammy as the fucking champion. And as much as I have my ups and downs with Sammy, because I feel like he doesn't understand how much we love him character-wise. It's like, dude, no, we do love you. Like, stay up here. You're bringing yourself down here because you got to be the underdog, but stay up here. Like, we're with you up here. If Sammy had won that title, how much cooler would Sammy feel? And how maintained would Seth be after losing that title? Seth's not going up or down. He's right where he needs to be. He is the tippy top of above IC title, and he is the 3, 4, 5 when it comes to the main title, right? Like, he'll have it. He's a transitional champion, like a 3-4 month guy, but then move on to the next guy. But if he fights for the IC title, you'd be like, yeah, but he's gonna win. You know what I mean? So him being in that lower top of the card, because I don't want to say upper mid card, because he's above that. But Seth's ceiling is where it is, and he's gonna stay there. So like you were saying a long time, like Seth hasn't shown vulnerability because he hasn't lost. If he lost to Sammy, fuck yeah, that pop would have been fucking insane. And then Sammy's character for the next 2 months, and then Sammy, oh my god, Sammy has to fight Jey. Sammy lost to Jey because he just couldn't haluva kick him. Like those stories could have been told, and we could have been feeling better about 2 other guys and the same about Seth.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Seth's done nothing for the title, and title's done nothing for Seth. It's been a static thing for a year. It's just a thing that exists over there while all these stories are trying to figure out. The whole reason they made it is still the problem.
Yeah.
They made it because Roman was on top and there's everybody else. And we're just crushing the entire division for this one guy. So like what we'll do is we'll put it on Seth, and Seth will do the same thing. He'll just crush every guy and just be on top forever. That's
the legit booking problem that all these fans talk about. I mean, you even said it on this show, but like when people are like, oh, they don't book this, this is what bad booking looks like. Keeping the title on Seth so no one else means anything. This title means what Seth is, lower top tier.
Yeah.
And it will never feel important until somebody gets their yes moment. Somebody gets their boyhood dream come true. And when Damian Priest cashes in on this particular title, it's going to mean shit because
Dude,
the title doesn't mean it.
I said it when Seth won. I said, that's the wrong guy for this. It's the wrong guy for this title. It's just another belt that he has. He's a character that collects belts for sure, but they got to get that title off of him before it means something.
Yep.
And it just still hasn't meant anything. It's just a thing. And the crowd loves him, and I love him, and he wins, and I cheer. But it's just not a thing that's interesting until someone else makes that title mean something, because it doesn't.
He's the right guy to lose it. He's the
Yes.
right guy to have it, to lose it, and he hasn't lost it. And it's past the point where the loss is going to mean something. Because if it goes to Drew now, it's going to feel so forced, gratuitous, and we'll be starting over. But had it gone to Sammy after he lost the tag titles, we would have had this groundswell that would have been fed off of the tag titles. If it went to Jay after his move from SmackDown, we would have had this groundswell of Jay not being gone.
Yeah.
So, and Drew, he's building a great character. Me and you, we've both changed our opinion on Drew as a whole because this character makes a whole lot of sense. But even if he wins, it's going to be starting the title over. We lost a year of the title.
Yep. Absolutely. And if he wins it this Mania at this thing, it's going to be like, okay, so they finally gave Drew his moment back because of COVID. Sorry. And that's not going to feel genuine.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, it's just a bummer. It's a bummer because, like you said, we could have had 3 more top guys right now. So,
and felt the same about Seth.
Yep. And felt exactly the same about Seth. So, I don't know. But I'm ready for last call. I just want to come shoot the shit with you. I know we didn't break down everything, but I just want to have conversations about a few things that have been bothering me because I listen to podcasts and they just go back and forth and pretend they never do. And listen to other ones where they just have terrible views and you just go, what are you even watching? And you have ones where they just flat out say they didn't watch, but still put in a whole bunch of thoughts on it. And you just go, there's one I've listened to recently where they didn't watch the thing and they say, but I know this, this, and this. And you go, but none of that happened and none of that's true.
Right.
Just stay out of it. I didn't watch and move on. That's fine. I didn't watch, move on. We do that all the time. You know what I mean? I told you at the beginning of the Sting shit that I didn't watch it. So I'll talk about the things I did see. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I tell you, and I say it all the time, but it's really in my heart to be more consistent with my show because I get feedback like that. One of my buddies through podcasting at JWest718 on Twitter, he told me, he's like, dude, I listen to podcasts all the time. No one says what you say. And I was like, that's weird because I just watch it and then have an opinion off of what I watch. I don't fucking dive into dirt sheets or speculate or fantasy book because you just can't do that. Again, we talked about all the Cody Crybaby stuff. The first time The Rock said anything was at the WrestleMania press conference.
Yeah.
0 people outside of WWE knew what was going to happen. And everyone who speculated fantasy, all that stuff, you're just putting yourself in position to not understand that, like, what you're watching isn't against you. Everything you see is for you to enjoy something. But if you open up a book, a novel, and you read the first page and it says, the hero defeats the villain, what ride did you take?
No.
What story did you watch? You go to the movies and the Avengers beat Thanos. All right. Dude, when I saw Endgame in the theater, right, within the first 15 minutes, Thor cuts off Thanos' head. I stood up. I started clapping. I was like, that's the end of the movie. They beat him.
Yeah.
But then they told the whole story about going back in time and doing all this thing. And you go on this entire journey. And I cried 3 fucking times in the theater after that because they gave us a journey to go on. Yeah. Like, you can have the victory right away or you can go on the fucking journey. So go. And that's what I do on my show at TW Takes Podcast on X Twitter. TWTakesPodcast.com stands for Terrible Wrestling Takes, because if I don't have them, you do. And if I don't think they are, you probably do.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I could fucking soliloquy all day. We'll be here on it for another 4 hours. I might as well put in a plug so we get in the fucking show.
Yeah, get the plugs in, dude. Plug it, peg it. I did like that line Rhea said, behind every great man is a greater woman. And I was like, that's definitely a pegging reference. She's definitely talking about pegging right now.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean,
So-
that is an actual saying, but not just in the pegging system.
In the pegging community, it's very popular.
Sure. Oh, okay. Fuck it. Let's do it. We're here. Who cares? I mean, if you want to cut me off, that's fine. I've been overserved before, but Rhea, Becky, Liv, Nia. Is that where this is going?
I hope not. But
Feels
it feels
like
that
it.
way.
Hell yeah. Sucks.
Feels a lot like it. And I think it's sad because I think that it highlights the problems they have there. You know what I mean? It's like I said with Rhea being the main event. This is a token thing for someone who's struggling and needs the support. They have her with Judgment Day because she can't cut it on her own. She's being very well protected. A lot of the division is not as protected as she is. She's very, very good. She's very, very protected. And if you put her in a 4-way, it's going to muddy up the whole fucking thing.
And who wins? Because if Becky wins that, it means nothing.
No one wins in that.
No one wins in that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. You just have someone walking out with a championship and then what? I don't know.
And could you imagine it? They have 2 nights of WrestleMania, probably 10 matches, maybe 12, and they still don't have enough spots. So they got to make a 4-way. That doesn't make sense. Like,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, it's rough.
I could see the only one I could see winning where it actually was a moment that people go, wow, would probably be Liv.
But she's an asshole right now.
Yeah, but I like
and that's
it.
my problem.
I like her being a dick. But
no. I like it too. But when you're Liv winning a 4-way, you're overcoming an obstacle. But this Liv character is a dickhead who knows she should win. And that's not going to get the reaction it needs to if she wins.
I think it could because of her whole, she's extreme. It's her revenge tour, all that shit. I think it's just an edge to Liv. This is just edgy Liv.
They got to talk more on commentary then. They got to pick that up. Yeah, they got to tell me that story because that's not what's in front of me. Yeah. That's
what I'm gathering from it. She's just more edgy. So that's why I feel like that if she won, it'd be like huge moment for Liv. Huge. Look at who she beat. These 3 main eventers. She beat them. Wow. And I could see that where that could be positive for her. But I also don't know exactly what that means next. What does that do for everyone else in there? So I don't know. Could be a big moment for her, but outside of that, I don't think they need a 4-way. I just don't. So, all right. We'll be back. I think there's going to be a Thursday Night Chaser tomorrow night. I got Digi in charge of a lot of that now, so I'm not even around for those anymore. Just let him do what he's going to do. And he just sends me emails when they're done. So it's been good. Outside of that, we're going to be on next week. Like we said, probably back the week after, but
off?
Maybe not. Off.
Okay, because you said on.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're off on. We're on the off. So, guys, thank you for coming through, being our drinking buddies. Thank you for hanging out, having a good time, and go get all your Project Rock at Dross Dress for Less. Guys, that's the last call.
Cheers.
Producer Lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support and buy us a drink by putting the I in subscribe and reviewing our podcast. And cheers to Fans First Sports Network for keeping the dive bar lights on.
I would never have a drink